Good afternoon. The World Series is on the air. This is Tony Wakely speaking to you from the Yankee Stadium in New York. Again, the play-by-play description of the fifth game of the 1936 World Series is brought to you with the compliments of the Ford Motor Company. Mr. Henry Ford, Mr. Ansel Ford, and your local Ford and Lincoln Zephyr dealers. Your play-by-play announcer for the fifth game of the World Series will be Bob Elton. Now I'm going to turn the microphone over to Mutual's ace commentator, Gabriel Heater of WOR Newark.
Thank you, Tony Wakeman. Good afternoon, everyone. Well, it's do or die for Bill Terry and his Giants today. It's Armageddon. Another victory for the Yankees in the World Series of 1936 will be another chapter for the winter book, the Hot Stove League of poignant memories. But a victory would put the Giants in the running again, and everyone in this great stadium seems to sense that we're standing at the crossroads, or city. Mr. Terry stands today where Horatio stood at the bridge, where Joff stood at the Marne, where Jack Dempsey stood as he crawled back into the ring after the wild bull of the Pampas had tossed him out. He's on his own 2-yard line. It's make or break. And which of these it's to be, the next 2 hours may tell. Listening in on the average fan in his seat, you hear two schools of opinion today. Here's one of them. When you beat Hubble, you beat the Giants. When Hubble can't win, no one can. The dynamite in those Yankee bats will write the word finish today to the baseball saga of 36. But for everyone who talks that way, I hear another who says the Giants are best when they're fighting with their backs to the wall. Crowds them and they fight. That's how they won the pennant in their own league. Best when the umpires counted 9. When the fates are ready to draw the curtain. When the forecasters say it's all over but the shouting. Then watch those Giants. And there you have it, the affirmative and the negative. The American League and the National. The Harlem Rooters and the Bronx in game number 5. Play the game today, the stands would show thousands of vacant seats. This must be a sad day for speculators. Even the rooftops which were jammed yesterday are all covered with Monday morning watch. Where hundreds hung on for dear life yesterday, today there are nightgowns, underwear, table linen hanging under a hazy sky. And that riotous applause you hear now is all for the gentleman known as Al Shot. Today Al is putting on a new act. He went way out to center field, put on a raincoat instead of a swallowtail, a gray fedora instead of the battered high hat, flanked by 2 special officers on his right and left, followed by the band. He comes marching down triumphantly to shake hands with Mayor LaClaudia. And it does make a funny spectacle. Al and the mayor, and he puts the mayor's hat on now. The mayor puts his glasses back over his curly black head. The mayor stands up and whispers something to Al. Al whispers back, puts his hand affects something around them. And now they make a field day for the photographers. Al, like some distinguished visitor coming to pay his respects to New York, and the mayor reaching in his pocket for something, must be the keys to the city. No, it's just his glasses, and it is a field day for everybody in the staff. It's a bit of life we need here. Because, frankly, this was a dull, gray, dreary morning before game time. For the first time, there were bleacher seats going begging. Maybe it's Blue Monday, maybe it's the Yankee runaway. Whichever it is, there was a funereal quiet here during practice, which made a strange contrast to yesterday. Only a few days ago, hundreds were lined up all night to buy the priceless stuffing. We've had drama of all kinds here and at the Polo Grounds. Hubble in the rain, Gomez making his slightly erratic but sensational comeback. Fitzsimmons fighting every inch and putting on, to my mind, the best pitching exhibition we've had here. Pearson yesterday taking all the punch out of Giant bats. Lou Gehrig's powerful shoulder sailing in to meet a ball and sending it sailing to the land from which there's no returning. Sambo Leslie coming in twice as a pinch hitter and making good each time. We've had miracle catches and incredible stops, yet somehow this moment now seems to be the most impressive of all. Underlying it over it all, you feel a sense of hushed expectancy. Yankee rooters know that one more game spells world champion. Giant rooters know that one more game puts them into the running again. And now we're almost ready. Pitchers warming up. bats which came out on wheelbarrows stacked high, a half-dozen boxes of new balls for which fans fight as they might for home and mother, and the groundskeeper army in brown doing its own final stuff. I tried to check with a number of experts, and I find a universal agreement among writers and old fans. The umpires in this series have been doing a workmanlike job. While we're on the subject of workmanlike jobs, I'm going to ask my friend Walter Winchell to toss one of his choice orchids to the New York City Police Department for their job. A job in handling a record-breaking crowd and doing it well. 50,000 at the Polo Grounds, 65,000 here yesterday. Thousands turned away outside, yet there wasn't a time when anyone or anything was jammed. Traffic moved, all the police are polite, everyone smiles. There's no crowding, it's an admirable job and well done. And now with a song in their hearts and a prayer on their lips and a do or die in their eyes, Yanks and Giants take the final drink. The new stick of gum, which goes in as the practice stick comes out, and I suppose looking down into the Yankee Stadium, both Giant and Yankee side, the stronger boys take something which looks like an old-fashioned chew instead of chewing gum. And the clock in center field tolls its fatal minute. What the day will bring, time alone will tell. Everything seems to depend on Hal and his ability to silence those Yankee bats. Maybe Hal will prove to be the man to do it. And for the Yankees, roughing the red. The man who came out of the Black Diamond Empire of Old King Gold to a splendid career on the baseball diamond. There are many experts here who feel that roughing pitched a fine game in the opener against Trouble. Far better even than the final score shows. And maybe he's going to turn in another today with better luck. However, we're almost ready for game time, and I'm going to turn you over to Bob Elson, the WGN, who gives you those dramatic close-ups of play-by-play on the field. Bob Elson.
Thank you, Gabe. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking to you now from right up here above the home plate in a section of the press stand at the Yankee Stadium in New York City. Gabe has given you his usual colorful description of all the preliminaries, and they're setting here for the fifth game of the World Series between the Giants and the Yankees. The umpires are down here in front of us, right near the home plate. The pitchers are Schumacher, a right-hander for the Giants, and Ruffing, a right-hander for the Yankees. The photographer is getting a picture now of the captains, Jackson and Gehrig, with the umpires and the field announcer. The umpires today will be Furman, who did such a splendid job in the rain back at the plate the first day. At first, Dice from American League at first today with Furman back at the plate. Major Kurth at second and Summers at third. Now the batting order for the Giants. Moore in left field, Bartell at short, Perry first, Ott in right, Ripple center, Mancuso catching, Whitehead second, Jackson third, and Schumacher pitching for the Yankees. Corsetti short, Rolfe at third, DiMaggio center, Gehrig at first, Dickey the catcher, Selkirk in right, Powell in left, Missouri at second, and Ruffing will do the pitching. Well, the Giants are all ready to go to bat now for the fifth game of the 1936 World Series, broadcast with the compliments of the Ford Motor Company and the Ford and Lincoln Zephyr dealers of America. We have another ideal day for the ball game today. It's a perfect setting. New York Giants really have their backs to the wall today, and it's do or die, now or never. They dropped this game today. The complete 1936 World Series is history. Joe Moore is the first man up. A lot of empty seats up here in the upper deck today. It'll take a Giant victory to really restore that intense interest that there was here in New York in those first three games. Now the series stands 3-1. Here's the first pitch of the ball game. Over the plate, and he whacks it. Trail hit down the left field line. It's hitting the barrier out there. Joe's rounding first base. He's on his way to second. He slides, and he's safe at second. He started his slide that time, but as he started to go down, he saw that he could make it without the slide, and so naturally, a player usually doesn't slide unless he has to, because there's always a chance of an injury. Moore stayed up and gets into second base standing up. It's a two-bagger off of Ruffing right down the third baseline. The ball hits inside the bag about 2 feet. Sharp hit on the ground. Here's Bartell up. That's Moore's third hit of the series. Bartell, a right-handed hitter, facing Ruffing. Rolfe has gone in close, expecting a sacrifice here.
Lou Gehrig at first base is playing in a little bit. The pitch. Fastball, low and outside, a ball. Joe Moore leads off with a nice double down the third baseline. Powell got over to the railing first. In a hurry, played the ball on the rebound out there and got it back in a hurry, but Moore goes into second base standing up. Now Ruffing is getting a sign again. The next pitch, Bartell swung at and fouled right back into the screen. Count is ball one and strike one for Bartell. Joe Moore on second base. Nobody out. First half of the first inning of this, the fifth game of the World Series. The pitchers are Ruffing, a right-hander, and Schumacher, a right-hander. Schumacher started once before, didn't have his control, and was wrapped out of the box. Now Ruffing is ready. Here's the next pitch. Bartell drives one down the right field line. It's a safe hit. The ball is rolling out there against the wall. Bartell is rounding, coming into second base. The run is scored. It's a two-bagger for Bartell, scoring another run, and the Giants are leading here. Two doubles, one down the left field line and one down the right field line. That one was hit down the right field line, a line drive over Gehrig's head. It hit out there about 20 feet inside the line, rolled back and off the barrier. Selkirk played the ball fast on the rebound and got it back in, but it was too late. It's a two-bagger scoring a run. Looks like these Giants mean business here today. Here's Perry up. Left-handed hitter. Now Ruffing is getting ready. First pitch is a nice curve right in there around his knees for a called strike. And on second base, a run in for the Giants. Ruffing is getting his sign now. Here's the next pitch. Foul back into the stands. It looked like Bill, from the way he moved his feet that time, was trying to place the ball in the left field. Perry backs up. That was Bartell's sixth hit in the series. He doubled, scoring more. Ruffing looks back around the infield to see that everybody's in place. The Giants are batting. First half of the first inning. Ruffing is ready to pitch again to Perry. He swung at a curveball right around his waist and struck out. Perry struck out. One gone. It brings up Mellott. Here's Mellott up. Mel has made 4 hits in the series. Run is scored. Bartell is on second. Out is up at the plate. Perry went down on strike. Ruffing is getting a sign. I've looked at the first pitch. It's low and outside for a ball. Ball one. Powell in left field. DiMaggio in center. Selkirk in right. Selkirk is playing deep. DiMaggio is playing plenty deep. The infielder is playing in normal position, playing back. He's getting ready again. Here's the next pitch to Ott. Hits the ground ball through the box. The shortstop is behind second base, up with it over to first base, and he's out. Cassetti to Gehrig. It advances Bartell to third. Mellott hit a sharp ground ball through the box, but Cassetti was playing him over close to the bag. Moved over hurriedly behind the bag, picked up the ball, and fired it over to Gehrig to get his man. Short to first, ball to second out. Here's Ripple. In the meantime, of course, Bartell advanced to third in the play. Here's Ripple. He's made 3 hits in the series, a home run and 2 singles. Now Ruffing is ready to pitch to him. First pitch, he hits foul down the third baseline. Ripple slashed the liner down the third baseline into the lower box seats, but foul. Furman of the National League is the umpire-in-chief today, back at the plate. Summers of the American League at third, Major Kurth, National at second, and Geisel, American League at first. Ruffing is ready to pitch again to Ripple. Hits a Texas leaguer into left field. It's a hit, scoring another run for the Giants. Ripple comes up with a Texas leaguer into left field, scoring another run for the Giants, and they're leading 2-0 now. Ripple dropped his Texas leaguer in front of Powell in left field, who moved in fast for the ball, but couldn't get it in time. No chance of a play. Just threw the ball into second base to hold Ripple on first, and it brings up Mancuso, the catcher. Now there's a man on first base. Here's Gus up. First pitch, he hits one straight into right field, a ground ball. There's the man on first base. base whipples, rolling around second base on his way to third, and he's safe at third. Mancuso slashed the ground ball to Gehrig's right into right field. It puts runners on first and third now for the Giants. And the next man to come up is Whitehead, who as yet has not made a hit in the series. That was Mancuso's fourth hit in the series. Well, the Giants starting off as though they mean business out here today. And they have to. It's now or never. Man on first, a man on third. Here's the second baseman, Burgess Whitehead up. Facing Ruffing. 2 runs are in. There's a drive foul down the first baseline. A low liner hit foul by Whitehead. 1 strike. Now the new ball is tossed into the game. Ruffing takes his glove off, rubs the ball up in his hands. The Giants have scored 2 runs here in their half of the first inning. There's 2 outs, and they have runners on first and third. Ruffing opposing Schumacher. Red's getting his sign again. Here's the next pitch to Whitehead. There's a hard hit in the right field by Whitehead, scoring another run. Mancuso stops at second. He smashed a hit, a low liner about waist high between Gehrig and Lazzeri into right field. 3 runs are in now, and the Giants have runners on first and second. Next man to come up is Jackson. That's the 5th hit of the inning. That is Whitehead's first hit of the series. 3 runs and 5 hits. Yankees are in a huddle out there now. Gehrig, Ralph over talking to Ruffing. Next man to come up is Jackson. Whitehead on first. Mancuso on second. This is already out there now. Jackson hits a high fly to left center. DiMaggio's going way back. He's going to get under it. He's under it now, and he has it, retiring the side. 2 men are left down the bases, and that's the end of the first half of the first inning. Well, the New York Giants are on the field. Joe Moore in left field. Jim Ripple in center. Mel out in right. Joe is just walking into left field now, adjusting his glasses. Jackson's on third. Bartell on short. At second base is Burgess Whitehead, who just made his first hit of the series. And Bill Terry, the manager, is on first. Gus Mancuso is the catcher, and Hal Schumacher, a very fine right-hander when he's right, is the pitcher. First effort in the series, he wasn't right. He couldn't control that sinker of his, and consequently was getting himself in the hole and had to throw one right down the middle, and the boys were counting it. Now the first man to bat is Crissetti. The Giants came up with 3 runs in their half of the inning. Here's Crissetti up. He's made 7 hits in the series. Right-handed batter. Now the wind-up in the pitch. Fastball low and inside, a ball to Frankie. Looked like he was going to bunt the ball. He had his bat shortened, but the pitch was a little bit too low, and he stayed away from it. Schumacher wipes his hands with the front of his uniform. Gets ready out there now. Now to wind up in the next pitch to Crissetti. A fastball right around his knees. A called strike. The count is 1-1. Ball 1 and strike 1. Crissetti registers a mild squawk on the pitch. Frank is back in the batter's box now. Pulls his cap down firmly on his head. It's already out there. Schumacher winding up. Here comes the next pitch. There's a ball a little bit outside, just above the knee. Ball 2 is strike 1. The umpires, by the way, have done a very fine job in this series. Their work has been all that could be desired. Winding up again, here's the next pitch. He swung at a fastball and missed it right around his knee. Schumacher threw in the dark one that time. Frankie Crissetti swung from his heels and missed it. And the count is 2-2. Frankie's played some swell ball in this series. Great game at short, and he's done some fine hitting with 7 hits. Schumacher's getting his sign again. There's the start of his motion. Here comes the next pitch. Strike 3. Struck him out. He's throwing the sinker right in around his knee. A quick stop on the ball, and he's out for the first out. Crissetti was called out on strike. Here's the third baseman, Red Rolfe. He's made 5 hits in the series. himself up. He's left-handed. Here's the windup on the pitch. Fastball right over the plate. Knee high. It's called strike. Nobody on the bases for the Yankees. One out. Last half of the first inning. The Giants scored 3 runs in their half of the inning on 5 hits off of roughing. Schumacher winds up again. The next pitch. Fastball. He hits a long fly ball in the left center. Center fielder is over. In. And he has the ball. A beautiful diving catch by Ripple. Ripple was playing in way over in right center field, and he had to move over into left center very fast. The ball dropped hurriedly, and Ripple made a beautiful dive for the ball and came up with it to get the call for the second out. It was the second beautiful fielding play that Ripple has made in the series. Ripple was playing well in deep right center. He had to move over fast into left center, and the ball dropped hurriedly. He was moving in fast. He made a dive for the ball and caught it. The ball was still plenty far out for the second out. It was a beautiful play by Jim Ripple, the Giants center fielder. Here's DiMaggio, and the first pitch is wide at the knee for a ball. 4-1.
Some of those balls, some of those pitches, the way they're hit, depending on the stuff on the ball, they take an awful funny motion after they start out there in the air. That ball dropped hurriedly. It's hit very hard. Winding up again, here's the next pitch to Joe. Right over the plate. Ball strike. Joe DiMaggio has 5 hits in the series. Ball 1 and strike 1 on Joe. 2 out and nobody on the bases. Here's the windup on the next pitch. Fastball low and inside. The ball makes this ball 2 and strike 1. Giants have Jackson on third, Bartell on short, Whitehead at second, Perry first, Ott in right, Ripple center, Joe Moore in left, Mancuso catching, and Hal Schumacher is the pitcher. This is the 5th game of the World Series. The Giants are ahead 3-0. Pitch, he hits the bounding ball. Jackson at third. Going to be close. There goes over to first base. He's out. Perry made a one-handed stab of Jackson's high throw. Jackson had to move to his left for a high bounding ball. The ball was hit so hard that Jackson had to back up so he'd have that bounce timed perfectly. He caught it off a high bounce, got it over to first base, a high throw, and Perry made a nice stab to retire the side. All right, Tony. Ripple got the grand hand from the crowd as he comes in. Ricciardi was the first man up for the New York Yankees. He struck out. Then Ripple made a beautiful running dive to get Rolf's drive, and that made it 2 down. DiMaggio followed, and he went out Jackson to Terry to retire the side. We're going in now to the giant half of the second inning, and score is the New York Giants 3 and the Yankees nothing. Okay, Bob. Now the Yankees are on the field. First man to bat for the Giants will be the pitcher, Hal Schumacher. Here's Hal selecting a bat down here below us. Moving up toward the plate now. Getting a hand from the crowd. You can hear it in your radio. Hal Schumacher, right-handed batter, is the first man to face Ruffing, who was tapped for 5 hits and 3 runs in the first inning by the Giants. Now we're starting the second inning with the score. The Giants 3, the Yankees nothing. Ruffing is ready. Here's the pitch. Schumacher belts a curveball deep into center field. DiMaggio's backing up. He's under it, waiting, and he has it for the first out. Schumacher hit a high fly deep into center field. DiMaggio moved back to his right toward left center, backed up a few feet and caught the ball for the first out. 1 gone. Here's the leadoff man, Joe Moore. Joe slaps a 2-bagger down the third baseline. Starts the ball game today and later scored on Dick Bartell's 2-bagger. Ruffing is ready. Here's the pitch. Slow ball. He hits a high pop fly back at third base. Third baseman Rolf is backing up. He's in foul territory, and he has the ball for the second out. He caught the ball about 35 feet back of third base down the line and about 2 feet outside the line. Rolf caught that ball in foul territory. It was a high pop fly off the bat of Joe Moore. Here's Bartell. He doubled the first time up. Right-handed batter. Here's the first pitch. Fastball right in around his waist. A call strike. Ruffing through in that sidearm fastball of his. Bartell watches it go by. Dick has made 6 hits in the series. He's out of the batter's box. Ruffing has started his motion and then stopped. Now he's ready again. Here's the next pitch. Curveball. He hits it down the third baseline. Foul just outside the bag. It looked like a hit there.
It went just outside the bag, foul. A low bounding ball. Left fielder Powell comes over the line, throws the ball back into the discard. Now it's 2 strikes on Bartell. No balls called. 2 outs. Nobody on the bases. First half of the second inning. The Giants 3 and the Yankees nothing. Here's the windup of the pitch. Bartell struck out. Fastball shoulder high. Bartell is out on strike, retiring the side.
The New York Giants went down the north in their half of the second inning. Schumacher flying out to DiMaggio. Moore fouled out to Rolfe, and Bartell struck out. Going into the Yank half of the second inning, and score remains the Giants 3 and the Yanks nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 5th game of the World Series. Being played at the Yankee Stadium in New York City. We'll pause briefly now for station identification. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
This is WGN Tribune Square, Chicago.
Well, the New York Giants are on the field now. Ripple is walking into right center field, getting set for the first hitter, who's Lou Gehrig. They play this lad deep, and what a wonderful ball player he is. Here's Lou Gehrig up to face Schumacher. Giants are ready on the infield and the outfield. Nobody on and nobody out. We're starting the last half of the second. Giants 3, Yankees nothing. Wind up, and here's the pitch to Gehrig. Fastball, he hits the ground ball to Perry's right. He can't get it. It's a hit in the right field. There's right field. The right fielder fell out. Ripple has it. And he's getting around to third base. And he's safe at third. It'll be, I believe, a hit and miss. He drove a ground ball to Perry's right into right field for a base hit. It's a hit and an error, a single and an error for Mellott, letting the ball go through his legs all the way to the wall in right field, and Gehrig is on third base. Next man to come up is the catcher, Bill Dickey. Man on third and nobody out. That was a well-hit ball between Perry and Whitehead. Now Gehrig's on third. Schumacher's ready to pitch to Bill Dickey. First pitch is very wide, shoulder high, ball 1. All the way back to the wall where it's marked 344 feet. Ripple was running over fast from right center, backing out up, and Ripple received the ball, got it back in fast, Ripple to Whitehead, but Gehrig was over at third base, so Whitehead didn't throw it. The outfield playing this fella plenty deep. Here's the next pitch from Schumacher. Over the plate, he hits the bounding ball down the first base line. Schumacher picks it up, back over the first, he's out. Gehrig's flying to the plate. He is out of the plate. Gehrig is out of the plate. Perry, the Mancuso. The batter hit a slow-rolling ball down the first base line, 5 feet inside the line. The pitcher picked the ball up halfway between the plate and first. Picked the ball up and threw it to first base, retiring the batter Dickey. With the throw, Gehrig, who had a long lead, heated for the plate and is out on a very close play. Perry to Mancuso. It was a very exciting play and very close at the plate. Hope you understand it clearly now. It was a batted ball down the first base line, a slow roller. Pitcher threw the batter out, and then Gehrig at third base, slide to the plate, was out on a very close, fast play. Perry to Mancuso. Here's Selkirk. The first pitch is low and inside for a ball. The Yankees took a chance that time, and they almost got away with it. Now there's nobody on the bases and 2 gone. Selkirk is up. He's made 4 hits in the series. Schumacher has the glove off now. He rubs the ball around in his hand. It's already out there. The Giants caught it up. He can hit him all the way up there. He's ready to wind up. And here's the next pitch to Selkirk. It's a long drive. Way back into right field. It's got a home run. It's back. It's a home run. Over the right field pitch. Selkirk just hit a long, tremendous home run. Way back into the stands in right field. About 355 feet from the plate. And here he comes around third base. He's dropping down the third base line. And he's getting a swell hand for a wonderful home run. Gee, that was a beautiful hit. Hit way into the air and way back into right field. And there was no doubt about what it was going to be just as soon as the ball left his bat. Score now is 3-1. Next man to come up is Powell. It's called strike, right around his knees. He's getting ready out there again. 2 out and nobody on. Here's the next pitch to foul. Curveball in a little bit close above the knees. The ball, and the count is 1-1. That was Seltzer's fifth hit of the series and his second home run. Boy, that was a beauty. Here's the windup in the next pitch. Fastball, he hits a short fly ball to the center field. Whitman's coming in fast. He's under it, and he has the ball on the run to the tie of the side. That is the end of the second inning. The score, the Giants 3 and the Yankees 1. All right, Tony.
Now is the time to consider a better car that will stand the cold winter weather. The Ford dealers' nationwide clearance sale of used cars is in full swing, featuring 150,000 used car and truck bargains. Your Ford dealer has late models of many different makes. In the yank half of the second inning, Gehrig, the first man up, smacked the ball out to right field where it got away from Mellott. In the meantime, Gehrig moved on down to third. Dickey was out, Schumacher to Terry, and Gehrig was out at the plate, Terry to Mancuso. Seltzer smacked one into the right field bleachers, a drive of about 355 feet for a home run. With 2 down, fouls come up and they slide out to center field. The Ripple retiring the side. We're going into the Giant half of the third inning, and score stands the Giants 3 and the Yankees 1.
Now the Yankees are on the field. Here's the first man back for the Giants, Bill Terry. Terry struck out the first time. Here's the pitch. Over the plate, he hits the bounding ball to the shortstop left. Terry has it. A bounce over the first base. He's out. Terry to Gehrig. Terry hit a low bounding ball between the shortstop and the bag. Terry moves to his left over towards second base. Came up with the ball on the short hop and threw him out. Terry to Gehrig. Here's Art. Out up. He was out. There's the first time. First pitch, he hits a high foul over near the railing. Behind third base. Third base is coming over fast with the Yankees dugout, but can't get to it. Hit on the roof of the dugout. High pop foul alongside third base over near the railing. Hit on the roof of the Yankees dugout. Ross couldn't get to it, and it's a foul strike on Hart. 1 out. Nobody on the bases in the first half of the third. Pitchers are Ruffing, a right-hander, and Schumacher, a right-hander. Ruffing's getting his sign. Stands on the rubber. He's all ready. Now the wind-up in the pitch. Slow ball. Out hits the long fly ball in the left center. DiMaggio's moving over. Powell is moving over. Powell caught it in left center field. The long fly ball off the bottom, not out for the second out. Here's Ripple. Ripple drove a hit into left field the first time up and scored a run. That was Jim's fourth hit of the series. Batting now is 2 out and nobody on the bases, facing Ruffing. Here's the pitch. First pitch is right down the middle, a fastball around his knees for a called strike. 2 out and nobody on for the Giants in the first half of the third. They're ahead 3-1. Here's the pitch. He swung it alone in that time with lots of speed on it and missed it. And it's 2 strikes now on Jim Ripple, the Giants center fielder. Lazeri, the second baseman, talking to umpire Majorkirk out there at second. He looks back at the scoreboard, turns around again to face the hitter. Ripple is out of the box. He's behind the batter's box right now, wiping his hands on his uniform. Pulls his cap on. He's stepping in right now. To the right side, of course. He's a left-handed hitter. There's 2 strikes on him and no balls called. Ruffing is ready. Here's the wind-up in the pitch. Slow ball. Strike. He struck him out. A slow ball right over the outside corner, knee high. Ripple is out on strike. That's the end of the first half of the third.
The Giants went down in order in their half of the third inning. Terry was out to side to Gehrig. Mellott fly out to Powell in left center, and Ripple struck out. We're going into the last half of the third inning. Score stands the Giants 3, the Yanks 1. The Giants scoring 3 runs in their half of the first inning. The Yanks scoring 1 in the second. Okay, and back to Bob Elson.
Thank you, Tony. Well, the last half of the third inning is going to get underway now. The first man to come up is the second baseman of the Yankees, Tony Lazeri. Lazeri's had just 1 hit in the series, and what a hit it was. It made some baseball history because it's just the second time that particular feat has been accomplished, and that is in the World Series, a home run with the bases loaded. Tony Missouri. Now the Giants take it around the infield for the last time. Third baseman Jackson is the last man to handle the ball. Goes to the Schumacher. And here's Missouri up to start the last half of the third. The score, the Giants 3, the Yankees 1. Now Schumacher's getting a sign. Here's the windup on the first pitch to Tony. It's a fastball low inside, a ball. Schumacher takes a couple of kicks to the pitching mound with his right foot. Pulls his cap down firmly on his head. Has his glove off. Now he's ready. Here's the windup on the pitch to Missouri. A fastball, and he dumps it off here to the right into the screen. And the count is ball 1 and strike 1 on Tony. The Yankees are at bat in the last half of the third with Missouri up. Second baseman of each team has made one hit of the series. Here's the pitch. Blown outside, a ball. Both Missouri and Whitehead have come up with some sparkling plays in the series game, but each one of them has made just a single hit. Missouri's was a homer, Whitehead's was a single and came today and drove in a run. Here's the pitch. Low and outside, another ball makes it 3-1 for Missouri. The ball got away from the catcher. Got his glove in the way and slowed it up, and he went over to his right to pick up the ball and throw it back to Schumacher. Schumacher looks down at Duff, getting a sign. Here's Mancuso crouching here below us. Here's the pitch. Fastball right over the outside corner, knee high. Schumacher cuts the corner with a fastball. Count is ball 3 and strike 2. Ready out there again, stands on the pitching rubber. There's the windup, here's the next pitch. He missed the corner that time with a fastball, and he gets the walk. Schumacher tried the same pitch. A fastball, low outside, but he missed the corner, and it's ball 4. It brings up the pitcher, Red Ruffin. Now there's a man on first, there's Ruffin coming up. Nobody out in the last half of the third. The Giants move in just a little bit in the infield. The outfielders stay right where they are. This fella can hit him on the nose, too. Here's the pitch. In close, a familiar ball. The first pitch to Ruffing. Ball 1. Schumacher goes back. Picks up the rosin bag this time. Brushes it along the front of his pants. Now he's ready. And on first base and nobody out. Here's the pitch to Ruffing. In close to Finney, another ball. Ball 2. Mancuso doesn't like that ball. He throws it out of the game now. The umpire Thurman, gives him a new one. Second baseman Whitehead comes in to talk to the pitcher. Now he's walking back to his position. Perry is on the bag. Bartell's playing in his natural shortstop position. Moves in a little bit. Jackson is playing about 7 or 8 feet inside the line. Here's the pitch. Ball 3 outside knee high. The third ball now for Ruffing. We have the top of the batting order coming up next. Frank Cassetti. Schumacher is looking back toward center field. Now he walks farther back and picks up the rosin bag, dries his hands. Down the pitching rubber now. Batter will undoubtedly take a couple here. Wait out the string. Here's the pitch. Ball rolling inside. He walks in. Al Schumacher has started off the last half of the third inning. Developed a sudden wild streak. Al seems to be getting sort of in the mood he was in the first game that he pitched in the series when he was having a lot of trouble with his control. Well, now the picture is the Yankees have a man on second and a man on first. There's nobody out. The Giants are leading 3-1, and the next man to come up is the shortstop, the leadoff man, Frank Cassetti. Cassetti was out on strikes the first time up. Whitehead is still talking to Schumacher. Now he's going back. Perry is back over at first base. And we have 2 men on for the Yankees with nobody out in their half of the third. In other words, the tying runs are on the bases. Persetti's up. Schumacher's all set. Here's the pitch. Low and outside. Another ball. Ball 1. The Giants are warming up a pitcher in right field. Can't see who it is. Back in the bullpen. He's underneath the stand. Schumacher again. Turns around, takes his glove off. He's having trouble with his control this inning. He's walked the first 2 men, the tail end of the batting order, which is bad. Rosari and the pitcher. Al is getting his sign out there again. He's all ready. There's a bunt. Pitcher. It was a bunt. It looked like the ball had hit foul first. It did. Persetti bunted. The ball hit foul. The ball was wrapped so sharply that it hit to the left of the plate, foul, hit Persetti in the leg, and then rolled out between the pitcher and the third base line. It all happened so fast that the spectators and everybody had the opinion that it was a fair ball. The umpire says no, it hit the batter, and it's very obvious now because Persetti is limping around down here. Ball must have caught him in the knee or in the shin someplace, and it evidently hurt. Frankie's limping around, and the runners are sent back to first and second. There was a break there for the Giants because Schumacher had fumbled the ball a couple of times before picking it up, and if it had been a fair ball, the bases would have been loaded. Now there's a count of ball 1 and strike. When there was a foul, 2 men on the bases now, and a count of 1 and 1 on the hitter, nobody out in the last half of the third. Here's the next pitch to Persetti. It's a bunt down the third baseline. It's foul again. Schumacher moves over fast and fields the ball between the plate and third base, halfway down. But it's foul, and the count now is ball 1 and strike 2 on Persetti. Now we still have the same picture here, 2 men on, with a count of ball 1 and strike 2 on Persetti. He might still attempt to sacrifice those tying runs around the second and third, but if he should bunt it now and bunt it foul, he's automatically out, and the runners cannot advance. Sometimes they do it because the infield now is backing up. They're going back in a normal position now. Jackson and the third baseman and Perry, the first baseman, are backing up because it's very seldom that they would try that in a spot like this. But you never can tell. Schumacher's ready. Here's the pitch. The ball gets away from the catcher. The runners are advancing. Push runners on second and third. The ball got away from the catcher. It rolled over about 30 feet to the left of the plate. Wild pitch puts the man on second and the man on third. And a count of ball 2 and strike 2 on the batter. Wild pitch, says the official scorer. Perry is over talking to Schumacher now. You know, the Yankees don't have to worry about a sacrifice because that wild pitch did the trick for them. Puts Rosari on third and Ruffing on second. The Giants are leading 3-1. The game is in the last half of the third. Ball 2, strike 2 for Persetti. Schumacher's ready. Here's the pitch. Hits a bounding throw to shortstop Bartell. Up with it, over to first base. A bad throw. Takes it first, and the run scores. Bartell gets an error on a very bad throw to Perry. Perry scores from third. It's an error for Bartell on a very bad throw to Perry. Leaves Ruffing on second base. Persetti on first base. A run is in, and the score now is 3-2 in favor of the Giants. Bartell came up with the ball in plenty of time to make a play. Made a very bad throw. He threw the ball into the dirt about 10 feet in front of Perry. Perry threw his body in front of the ball. Stopped it all right, but couldn't hang on to the ball, and it's an error for Bartell. Now we have a man on first and a man on second. Here's Rothrock. Tying run on second base for the Yankees, and nobody out here in the last half of the third. Giants are expecting an attempted sacrifice. Here's the pitch. He bunts one right out in front of the plate. Schumacher picks it up, gets it over to first. He is safe. He beat it out for a hit, and the bases are loaded. Roth played down a roller between the pitcher's mound and the plate. A bunted ball rolling out toward the pitcher. Schumacher hurried in, grabbed the ball, and threw it over to first base. But Roth, a very fast man, beat it out for a hit, and the bases are loaded with nobody out. 3 men on now. Next man to come up is DiMaggio. 3 men on the bases. Here's Joe DiMaggio up. Bounced out to Jackson the first time up. He'll be followed by Gehrig and then Dickey. Now the Giants have moved in close. Bases are loaded. Nobody out. Roughing on third. Study on second. Rolf on first. First pitch, he hits a high foul. Back near the screen. It's going into the screen. Right here below us. DiMaggio hit a high foul. It came back to the screen and dropped into the screen as Mancuso hustled back, hoping that the ball would be into a spot where he could get his punches on it, but he couldn't. And it's a foul strike on Joe DiMaggio. DiMaggio has 5 hits in the series. Yesterday, Joe rolled out twice, tried out once, and on the last appearance hit into a fast double play. Al Schumacher is very much on the spot here in the Yankee Stadium in this last half of the third inning. The Giants still have a 1-run lead, but it looks bad. 3-2 in their favor, but the Yankees have the bases loaded. Here's the next pitch to DiMaggio. He swung and foul tipped another one, and the count is 2 strikes on Joe. Here's DiMaggio, Gehrig, and Dickey to face in order. There's nobody out, and the bases loaded. He walks around out there. Terry said something to him. The 5th game of the World Series. Dropping opposing Hal Schumacher. Joe DiMaggio is up at the plate with the bases loaded. Schumacher gets all set. The pitch is inside, close to his head. Joe ducks out of the way. Now it's ball 1 and strike 2. Bases loaded. Nobody out. 1 run in. The Giants 3, the Yankees 2. The Yankee half of the third. The last half, they have 3 men on with nobody out. Schumacher's getting all set. Here's the next pitch. He struck out. DiMaggio swung at a big hit. Blowing outside and struck out. DiMaggio is out on strike. Next man to come up is Gehrig. Joe DiMaggio was out on strike. Now Bill Terry is talking to the pitcher again. Here's Lou Gehrig up. Lou rifled a hit into right field the first time up, on which Melas made an error. And Lou went all the way around to third. Batting now with the bases loaded. What a spot this is. Well, Schumacher has to face it. He's going right to work on this fellow now. Here's the windup on the first pitch. Gehrig swung and missed the curveball right around his knee. Gehrig went all the way around that time, trying to give that ball a ride. Catcher wants to talk to the pitcher now. Schumacher walks in rather gingerly, as though he didn't have a care in the world. Bases are loaded for the Yankees with 1 gone. He struck DiMaggio out. They've scored a run this inning. The umpire wants to look the ball over now. See that Hal isn't putting any hocus pocus on it. He says it's okay, and he throws the ball back to the pitcher. Lou Gehrig is up with the bases loaded here in the 5th game of the World Series in this mammoth Yankee Stadium in New York City. 1 gone. Schumacher gets ready again. Here's the next pitch. There's a slow roller foul down the first base line. 2 strikes on Gehrig. 2 strikes on Lou Gehrig. Catcher Mancuso again walks out toward the pitcher. Al Schumacher walks in, says something, then he goes back to the mound. Roughing on third, Cristetti on second, Rolf on first. 2 strikes on Gehrig, 1 gone, and the Giants have a 1-run lead. Here's the pitch. Strike 3, up and out. Schumacher struck out Gehrig. A big hook right around his knees, and Gehrig is out on strike. 2 gone. Boy, what a break there was on that one. That had a hook on it like a letter V. Now there's two gone. The bases are still loaded. Here's Dickey up. Bases loaded. Bill Dickey up at the plate. He rolled out to the pitcher the first time up. Al Schumacher takes his time out there getting all set. Here's the pitch to Bill. Low and outside, a ball. Ball one. Next man to come up is Stelter. Schumacher takes his time. He's ready out there now. Here's the pitch. It's a high fly into right field. Mellot is under it. He should get it. He's moving in. He's standing under it. He has it. Retires the job. Three men are left on the bases, and Al Schumacher came through with a marvelous pitching performance there. And he's getting a wonderful hand here at the Yankee Stadium from friend and foe alike. American League and National League fans giving Schumacher a swell hand. All right, Tony.
In the Giant half, or rather the Yankee half of that third inning, Lazari, the first man up, walked, roughing walked. Then Crissati came up the plate. A wild pitch on the part of Schumacher, and both runners advanced. Lazari moving down to third, roughing to second. And then Crissati wrapped the ball down the short. Bartell shoved it up, taken it over to Bill Terry. It was a very, very fast toss, and Lazari scored. Bartell was charged with an error. Raw followed. He bunted and beat out the toss. Schumacher Terry filling up the bases. Then up came DiMaggio. He struck out. Gehrig struck out. And Dickey flied out to Mellot in right field, retiring the side. We're going into the Giant half of the fourth inning, and the score stands the Giants 3 and the Yankees 2.
Now the Yankees are on the field. DiMaggio in center field. Selkirk in right field. Powell in left field. Gehrig first. Lazari second. Crissati short. Loft third. Dickey is catching, and Ruffing is the pitcher. Right-handers today, Ruffing and Schumacher. Now showed plenty of heart that inning. Bases loaded, nobody out. Got onto that spot without anybody scoring after that one run had been in. So now we find a picture as we start the first half of the fourth inning. The New York Giants have 3 runs. The New York Yankees have 2. Here's the first man to bat, Gus Mancuso. Gus had a single to right the first time up. Getting ready out there. Now the windup in the pitch. He swung at a fastball right around his waist and almost fell down. 1 strike on Gus. Fourth inning. A wonderful game out here. Ruffing juggles the ball in his glove a few seconds. Gets ready. Here's the pitch. He threw his bat slipped out of his hands. It's a foul. Rolled off to the left. The bat is out behind the pitcher. Ross goes over and picks it up. Now he's walking toward Mancuso, who's out next to the pitcher. Throws and rolls the bat to him. Gus picks it up, and he's walking right down the line now from the pitcher toward the plate. Rolf is backing up, going back to third. Mancuso is the first man up in the fourth. The Giants have a 1-run lead. He's getting his sign out there now. He's all ready. Here's the pitch. There's a hard hit ball, a line drive down the left field line. Powell comes over, plays the ball up the fence. Gus is on his way to second base, and he goes in, standing up, a 2-bagger for Mancuso. A line drive, right over the third baseman's head. Go down the line, up the front of the stands down there in left field. Powell played the ball hurriedly, just as fast as he could.
But it's an easy 2-bagger for Mancuso, and it brings up Whitehead. Lazari is in talking to Ruffing. Here's Whitehead up. He had a hit the first time up today. First pitch is low and inside to Burgess. Ball 1. Rolf, Crissati, Lazari, and Gehrig talking up out there in the infield. And on second base, here's the next pitch. It's a curveball in across his knees for a called strike. Lots of dope on that one. The count is ball 1 and strike 1. Whitehead backs out of the batter's box. He's drying his hands down. Now he's up in there again. The man on second. Whitehead up. This is
getting ready out there again. Here's the next one. He hits one right back at the pitcher. There they throw the ball to second base, and Mancuso is called off at second base, roughing to Crescetti. Whitehead hit a ground ball right at the pitcher, roughing, who picked it up, turned and fired the ball back to Crescetti, and Mancuso is out, trying to get back to second base, roughing to Crescetti. The batter, naturally, is safe at first. Here's the third baseman, Jackson. Slide out to left center field the first time up. Giants have a man on first with Jackson up. Now roughing is ready. First pitch he swung at and missed. Right around his knees. One strike on Jackson. Whitehead on first with one out. Roughing is getting his sign again. Here's the next pitch. Jackson hits a high foul. Right up on top of the roof over behind first base. And the count is 2 strikes on Travis. Jackson has made 3 hits in the series. Roughing has his glove off out there. He's rubbing the ball around in his hand. Now he's all set. Here's the next pitch. Jackson took one. A hook blown outside for the ball. Count is 1-2. Whitehead on first. One gone. First half of the fourth inning. The Giants leading in a close ball game, 3-2. The pitchers are Ruffing and Schumacher, right-handers. Pitcher's getting his sign out there again. Here's the next pitch. Jackson hits a pop-up in the infield. The shortstop, Crescetti, is right near the bag. He has the ball for the second out. Travis Jackson popped out to Crescetti. Crescetti caught the ball about 5 feet to the shortstop side of second. Here's the pitcher, Schumacher. Al gets a nice hand from the crowd, and he deserves it for that wonderful pitching performance last inning. Ruffing is taking his time out there getting ready now to pitch to Schumacher. He sent a long fly ball to DiMaggio the first time up. He has the reputation of being a good hitting pitcher. Here's the pitch. He swung hard that time at a fastball around his knees, and it's 1 strike on Schumacher. The man on first, 2 gone here in the first half of the fourth inning. Red Ruffing opposing. There's a throw to first base, but the runner is back in easily. Gehrig tosses the ball back to the pitcher. Getting all set again. Here's the next pitch. Fastball over the outside corner, knee high, a called strike. It's 2 strikes now on Schumacher. Ruffing walks around out there, thumps the ball in his glove a couple of times. Arms up in front of him, drops him down. He's ready. Here's the pitch. Schumacher struck out. A fastball right around his waist. 1 man left on the bases, and it retires the side. Here's Tony Wakeman.
Mancuso, the first man up for the New York Giants, in the line drive down the third baseline, which was good for a double. Whitehead followed. He wrapped one down to the mound, up and shoved up the ball, tossed into Crescetti. Mancuso was out trying to get back to second. Jackson popped out to Crescetti, and Schumacher struck out. We're going into the last half of the fourth inning. Score stands the Giants 3, the Yanks 2. The Giants scoring 3 runs in first, the Yanks scoring 1 in the second, and 1 in the third. Now back to Bob Ellis.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 5th game of the World Series being played at the Yankee Stadium in New York City. We'll pause briefly now for station identification. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
This is WGN Tribune Square, Chicago.
Now the first man to bat for the Yankees is Selkirk. Hit a home run the first time up, and it was a beauty. Real drive back into the seats in right field. Here's Selkirk starting the last half of the fourth inning facing Schumacher. Al's getting ready out there now. Here's the pitch. First pitch is blown outside. A ball to Selkirk. Ball 1. Nobody on it. Nobody out in the last half of the fourth. Giants 3 and the Yankees 2. He's winding up again. Here's the next pitch.
Hits the ball. It's outside the knee. Makes it ball 2. Schumacher has issued 2 passes today. They both came in the 3rd inning. He passed Lazeri and then he passed the pitcher. Ball 2 is the count. Here's the next pitch. Right around his knees, a called strike. Makes it ball 2 and strike 1 for Selkirk. Tall, slender fellow who has lots of power. Room around that outfield, too. Guys keep up the chatter out there in the infield. Lots of pepper on both sides. Schumacher's winding up. Here comes the next pitch. Too low. Threw that sinker in that time. The ball with that quick drop on it. But it broke in too low. And the count now is ball 3 and strike 1 for Selkirk. Schumacher gets ready again. Next pitch is ball 4. He walked him. Here's Powell up. Powell fired out to center field the first time up. Just as the pitcher delivered the ball, just as the ball was about to leave his hand, Selkirk made a quick swing off to the right. Sort of rattle him a little bit. May have helped. Anyway, he threw in a ball 4. And on first base, and Powell was up. Here's the pitch. Low and outside, a ball 1. And Suso is going out to talk to Schumacher. Now they're out there talking it over between the rubber and the plate. Standing right together. Gus is coming back now toward the plate. Our spot is exactly behind the home plate. First base to our right and third base to our left. And the grand spot to tell you exactly what happened. The giant infield has moved in just a little bit. Powell fired out the first time up. Now Schumacher's getting his sign again. The next pitch is a little bit too close. Waist high for a ball, and the count is ball 2. So on first base for the Yankees in the last half of the 4th inning. They're trailing by 1 run. Schumacher getting his sign again. He's ready. Here's the pitch. Hits the ball inside above his knees. It's ball 3. Schumacher's having another one of those wild streaks. The Giants are warming up a pitcher in the bullpen in right field. Terry is over talking to Schumacher. Standing out there next to the pitcher's box, talking it over. Mancuso, Terry, and Schumacher. Next man to bat after Powell will be Lazeri, and then the pitcher. The score, the Giants 3, the Yankees 2. The game is in the last half of the 4th. Ruffing and Schumacher. Now he's ready out there again. Next pitch is ball 4 inside at the knee. Puts 2 men on the bases again for the Yankees. 2 men on now. Man on first and a man on second. Next man to come up is Lazeri. Whitehead, Terry move over from the right side of the infield to say something to the pitcher. Encourage him and try to settle him down out there. Two men on now. Here's Lazeri up. He drew a base on balls the first time. Schumacher's ready to pitch to him. First pitch he bunts to Schumacher, gets it over to third base. It's out at third. A force out. An attempted sacrifice was turned into a force out. A bunt between the pitcher's box and the third base line, about halfway down. Schumacher moved over fast, picked up the ball, and fired it to Jackson at third base. And Selkirk is out. Schumacher to Jackson. Leaves a man on first and a man on second, and brings up the pitcher, Ruffing. The attempted sacrifice was turned into a force play. The
And now we have roughing up. He drew a base on balls the first time. Big fellow and a right-handed hitter. Schumacher's getting his signs. Here's the pitch. Right over the plate. He hits the bounding ball past the pitcher. Bartella's up with it over the second out. Back over the first. Out the double play. He hit a bounding ball, a high bounding ball over the pitcher's head. Right out to the shortstop, about 5 feet to the shortstop side of the bag. Dick Bartell caught it, tipped it to Whitehead. Whitehead turned and fired it to Terry, and he got his man on the tail end of the double play just by a step to retire the side, and that's the end of the fourth inning, and here's Tony Wakeman.
Get the thrill of V8 performance. Drive a Ford V8. It's the only car under $1,600 with a V-type 8-cylinder engine. Your nearest Ford dealer has one he'll be glad to let you drive. And now in the yank half of the fourth inning, the first two men walked, Selkirk and Powell. Larry bunted to Schumacher, shoveled up the ball, tossed it into third, and Selkirk was out at third. Roughing then hit into a double play, retiring the side. We go into the Giant half now, the fifth inning, and the score stands the Giants 3 and the Yankees 2.
Well, the fifth inning of a wonderful ball game here in this fifth game of the World Series is coming up. Fred Ruffing and Hal Schumacher pitching swell ball out here. Plenty of tight spots, long hits, exciting plays, all that you could ask of our great national pastime, good old baseball. And here's Joe Moore up. He had a double the first time, the second time he popped out the road. Left-handed hitter. Here's the pitch, a slow ball. He hits it on the ground to Gehrig. Gehrig is up with it, running to the bag. The pitcher's coming over to take the throw. He's out. Gehrig to Ruffing. Ball is hit well behind the bag. Gehrig picks it up on the hop, threw it to the pitcher. Ruffing who came over. Gehrig gets the assist, and the pitcher gets the put out. It was a pretty fast play with Moore, a fast man, getting down there in a hurry. So there's one gone, and here's Bartell. An up twice, a double and a strikeout. Bartell up. He's made 6 hits in the series. Scores the Giants 3, the Yankees 2 in the fifth inning. Now Ruffing is ready. First pitch is a strike right over the outside corner, knee high. There's an airplane droning overhead. Bartell is walking the pitcher. Here's the windup in the next pitch. He stuffs one way down the left field line, but it's a foul ball. Bartell hit one high up into the upper deck, way down the left field line, but it was foul, and it's 2 strikes now. Big steps out of the batter's box and gets up in there again. One out, nobody on for the Giants in the first half of the fifth. They're ahead, 3-2. Ruffing smooths the ball around his hand, gets all ready again. Here's the next pitch. Bartell takes one inside, below the shoulder, too close, and the count is 4-1, strike 2. Yankees buck it up out there. Lost at third, Pacetti at short, Terry at second, Gehrig at first, Selkirk in right, DiMaggio in center, and Powell in left. Here's the windup again on the next pitch. Fastball, strike 3, right across his knees, and he's out on strike. Bartell is called out on strike. Here's Terry. Terry struck out the first time, and the second time he was an easy out on the roller to the shortstop. Terry has made 5 hits in the series. Here's Bill Terry up. Ruffing is ready as the first pitch. Terry takes one high and wide for the ball. Ball 1. Ruffing kicked the pitching lever a couple of times with his right foot. Now he leans over, going to pick up a cover or something. Ball's got out there again now. There's the start of his motion. Here's the next pitch to Terry. Over the plate and hits a high foul between the plate and third base. Outside the line, Rolfe is over. Halfway down and has the ball. Easy out. Terry popped out to Rolfe. A high foul. About 25 feet outside the line and about halfway between the plate and third. An easy out to Rolfe. And it retires the side.
The Giants went down in order in their half of the fifth. Moore was out, Gehrig to Ruffing is covered first. Bartell struck out, and Terry fouled out to Rolfe down the third base line. We're going into the last half of the fifth inning, and score stands the Giants 3 and the Yankees 2.
Now the Giants are on the field. The first man to bat for the Yankees. Coming out now, Rossetti. You remember the side was retired for the Yankees in the last half of the fourth inning when the pitcher Red Ruffing hit into a fast double play, short to second to first. Al Schumacher's out there on the mound. Bartell is standing right near the bag talking to Whitehead, who has covered the bag. And he was one foot on one side of the bag and one on the other, waiting for the catcher's throw. Jackson is talking to the pitcher. Terry is walking around over there to our right. The outfielders are all set. Whipple is walking around in center field. Now he's turning around. Well, the Giants are leading 3-2 in the last half of the fifth inning. Al Schumacher held these Yankees to 3 hits. Worked his way out of a couple of tough spots. Here's Rossetti up. He struck out the first time, and the second time he was safe on an error. Now the wind-up in the first pitch to Frankie. First pitch. Here it is. Strike right around his knee. Ball. Nobody on. Nobody out. Last half of the fifth inning. Giants 3, Yankees 2. Winding up, here's the next pitch. Curveball. He fouled it off there to the left. Bounced up and hit him in the leg and rolled out again in front of the plate. Mancuso gets the ball and tosses it back to Schumacher. Nobody warming up for either team. A nice close pitcher's battle here. Close game. Pitcher gets his sign out there. He's all ready. Here's the next pitch to Rossetti. Strike 3. Struck him out. A third ball over the outside corner, knee high. Rossetti is out on strikes. Putting up a beat down here. Complaining to the umpire about it. He's out on strike. Now the next man to come up is the third baseman, Red Ross. Here's Ross up at the plate. Schumacher's ready. Here's the pitch. He punts one. The pitcher right. He's second ball. He comes in fast and got over to first base, but couldn't come up with it. He bunted between the pitcher and first base to Schumacher's left, rather. Schumacher made a stab at the ball, but couldn't get it. Whitehead tore in fast. He came up with the ball, fired it to first base, but missed his man. Ross is very fast and beat it out for a hit. It was a beautiful bunt between the bag at first base and the pitcher's box. Schumacher moved hurriedly to his left, made a stab at the ball and fell down, but couldn't get it. As he reached for it, Whitehead moved in fast, came up with the ball and made a fast play, but he couldn't head Ross off, and Ross beats it out for a hit. It was a nice play, a very nice bunt by Ross. That's Red's second hit, and it's the fourth hit off of Schumacher. Now the next man to come up is DiMaggio. He struck out last time with the bases loaded. He hits for Ross. Here's Joe DiMaggio. Bounced out to Jackson the first time. The second time he struck out. And on first base, he's getting ready. Here's the first one. Low and inside, a ball to Joe. Ball 1. The Yankees haven't tried any thievery on Mancuso as far as running the bases. The Giants have tried plenty. The tying run is on first base for the Yankees. The Giants are leading 3-2 in the last half of the fifth. The Yankees have a man on first with one gone. Rossetti struck out. Schumacher's ready out there now. Here comes the next pitch to DiMaggio. Inside, a fastball. It's too close. Ball 2. 2-0 now for Joe. Schumacher turns around, looks around the infield and the outfield. Turning around again now, facing the batter. Ross has a short lead off the first. He's very fast. He's very dangerous. Out there on the bases. He run like a jackrabbit. Pitcher's getting all set. Here it is. DiMaggio takes a strike right across his knees. Makes it ball 2 and strike 1. Ross goes back to first. He's keeping an eye on him. Pitcher careful not to let the base runner get any lead on him. And he jumped on his delivery.
Schumacher watches the man over his left shoulder, draws his arms up. Runner lifting off. Here's the pitch. Hits the ball. It's low and inside, and it's 4-3 and strike one for DiMaggio. Yankee center fielder starting in the last half of the fifth inning with the Yankees trailing by 1 run. Score is 3-2 in favor of the Giants. Ross came through with his second hit up front after 1 out. Came first base in the pitcher's box, and he beat it out. Of course, the whole trick in a bunt like that is to get it past the pitcher. Once you do, you got a whale of a chance of beating it out, and he did. Pitch to DiMaggio is right over the plate, knee high for a tall strike. Schumacher put plenty on that one and fired it right in there, and it's a count of 3-2 on Joe DiMaggio. Al Schumacher getting his sign now. DiMaggio batting with the tying run on first base and 1 gone. Schumacher turns around, looks back around the infield and the outfield. Well, he's worked his way out of a number of tough spots today. Been in serious trouble twice. Schumacher's getting a sign again. It's a 3-2 count on DiMaggio. Left the runner. There he goes. Strike 3. He's out there to say to second base. He's out. A double play. DiMaggio struck out, and Ross was out going to second base. Mancuso to Bartell, who took the throw. DiMaggio struck out on a fastball at the outside corner of the shoulder. Mancuso fired the ball to second base, and Ross was out attempting to strike second base on a perfect throw. Mancuso to Bartell. That's the end of the fifth inning. The Giants 3 and the Yankees 2. All right, Tony.
As you drive your pleasant car, it decreases in value. Take advantage of a Ford dealer's nationwide used car clearance sale now in progress to get a better used car. Your Ford dealer has his share of the 150,000 bargains being featured. Look in your local newspaper for special bargains in R&G used cars. They are renewed and guaranteed. And in the Yank half of the fifth inning, to carry the first man up struck out. Ross beat out of toss, Whitehead to play. DiMaggio struck out. Mancuso pegged the ball down to second and got Ross at second, retiring the side. We're going in now to the Giant half of the sixth inning, and the score remains the Giants 3, the Yanks 2. The Yanks scoring 1 in the second and 1 in the third. The Giants scoring 3 runs in the first.
Well, the first half of the sixth inning of a wonderful game is going to get underway now. Everyone sort of has the feeling that Al Schumacher is sitting on a keg of dynamite out there. But he's been working his way out of spot after spot. Here's Mel out up. Red Ruffing is ready. Here's the first pitch to Little Mel. There's a pitch over the shortstop, a hard liner. He went up into the air to try to pull it down, but couldn't get it. Here's the ball coming in from Powell, and Ott is on first. He nailed a line drive right over Cicetti's head. Cicetti went into the air with his gloved hand that time, but couldn't head it off, and it's a hit. Here's Whipple up. That was Mel Ott's 5th hit of the series. Here's Jim Ripple coming up now. We have Mancuso and Whitehead coming up in order. Ott leads off with a hard hit to left center. Powell took the ball on the second box. The pitch to Ripple. Outside, waist high, a ball. He had his bat shortened. Though he might attempt to bunt it, and Ross was moving in fast. Man on first base for the Giants. They're batting in the first half of the sixth inning. They're leading in this ball game 3-2. Nip and tuck affair here has everybody on edge. Next pitch is low and inside. Whipple was going to bunt it all right, but the ball broke sharply, and the batter, to get away from the impression that he was taking a poke at the ball, fell down. Ball was breaking so sharply in low and close, he started to go down for it, and then held his bat and fell down. Ball 2 now for Ripple. The pitch outside, waist high, ball 3. Third baseman Ross moving in fast. Ball 3. 3-0 now for Ripple. The Giants center fielder was out on first base in the sixth inning, and nobody out. Pitch is ready again. Here's the next pitch. Ball 4. He walked it. Giants have runners on second and first now. They're not going down to second. They'll step down the bag down there. Ripple is already standing on the bag at first. Here's Mancuso coming up. He's been up twice and he has 2 hits, a single and a double. first and a man on second. The Giants are leading 3-2. Next man to come up will be Whitehead and then Jackson. Yankees are... Third baseman is playing in, expecting a bunt. Here's the pitch. High inside, a ball 1. The Yankees are warming up a pitcher now in the bullpen in left field. Third baseman Rolfe is playing in, expecting Mancuso to lay it down. Man on first and a man on second. Rolfe is getting ready to pitch again. Here it is. It's a bunt. The pitcher over to first base, and he's out. It was a bunt between the pitcher's box and the third baseline, just over a few feet. Rolfe had to move just about 6 or 7 feet to his right to come up with the ball. It was a perfect sacrifice, and it advanced the runners to second and third. Now the Giants have a man on second and a man on third, and the second baseman, Burgess Whitehead, is coming up. It was a bunt between the pitcher's box and the third baseline. Easy bunt for Ruffing to handle. Ball was rolling pretty fast, and he had an easy play at first base. It's a sacrifice for Mancuso. Whitehead's been up twice and has made 1 hit. Yankee infield has gone in. Here's the pitch. Third ball, way outside, way high for a ball. The Giants are leading 3-2 in their 5th game of the World Series. The game is now in the first half of the 6th inning. Red Ruffing and Hal Schumacher have pitched all the way. Yankee infield playing in. Now Ruffing is winding up again. Here's the next pitch to Whitehead. It's a bounding ball to the shortstop. He's under the ball and it's hit all around. A run scored. He had a bounding ball to the shortstop, Cressetti, which got away from him. Cressetti finally retrieved the ball, but it was too late to make a play anywhere. Out has scored, and the Giants are leading 4-2. They have runners on first and third, and Jackson is up. The ball was hit between the pitcher's box and third base, directly at the shortstop. He came in fast. It was a slow hopper, and he fumbled the ball. Put the man on first and the man on third. There's Jackson up now. See what they're going to call it. Here's Jackson up. The first pitch is a strike right around his knee. Haven't had any word yet from Lawrence here from the official score. And on first and a man on third for the Giants with a run in. They're leading 4-2. The pitch. It's a foul off there to the right into the grandstand. 2 strikes on Jackson. Jackson's been up twice today. Tried out the first time, popped out the second time. Can't get any word yet from the official score. I believe it'll be an error for Cressetti, but we don't want to do any guessing on that, and our only chance to get it is from the official score here below us. It's an error for Cressetti. Gord Melloff from third. Ripple advances to third, and the batter, Whitehead, is on first. Jackson is up with the count on him, a ball 1 and 2 strikes. The Giants are leading 4-2. The next pitch, strike 3, struck him out again. Third ball right around his knee. Jackson's out. Man on first and a man on third with 2 gone now. Next man to come up is Hal Schumacher. Here he comes. Nice answer to Doc. Now the Yankees go into a short huddle out there. Here's Schumacher coming up with a teammate on first and a teammate on third. 1 run in, 2 gone. First half of the 6th inning. Giants ahead 4-2. Schumacher flied out, deep to center field the first time. The second time he struck out. Now he's facing Ruffing. There's a foul into the stands off here to the right. 1 strike. Giants are driving the first half of the 6th. He's taking his time out there again, getting ready. On that error of Cressetti's, the run would have scored anyway, I believe, even if he'd have picked it up cleanly. Pitch is low and inside, but he would have had the man at first, but because he fumbled the ball, there was no play anywhere. The run scored and the batter had life at first. Cressetti was charged with an error. Even if he had picked the ball up cleanly, it was a slow roller. I think the runner would have scored because Ott was off just as soon as the ball was hit. Roughing is ready. Next pitch. Schumacher swung hard that time, trying to give it a ride and missed it. Count is ball one and strike two. Giants have a man on first and a man on third. They're leading in the sixth inning, 4-2, and this is the fifth game of the World Series. Red roughing opposing Hal Schumacher. The Giants pitcher is here at bat. Roughing is getting his sign. He's ready out there. Here it is. Inside, high. Schumacher fell down in the batter's box to get out of the way of the pitch. Close to his head. Count is ball two and strike two. 2-2 now. Yankees talking up out there in the infield. Man on first, a man on third. Here's the next pitch to Schumacher. Strike three, struck him out. Curveball right around his knees. Schumacher swung hard and missed it. The tires aside, and two men are left on the bases. That's the end of the first half of the sixth inning of this, the fifth game of the World Series, being played at the Yankee Stadium in New York City. And I will pause briefly for station identification. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
This is WGN Tribune Square, Chicago. In the giant half of the sixth inning, the first man up caught, smacked one down over short for a single. Ripple walk, out automatically moved to second. Mancuso bunted and was out roughing to Gehrig. Both runners advanced. Whitehead hit to Casati, fumbled the ball, and he was charged with an error, off scoring on the play. Jackson struck out. Schumacher struck out, retiring his side. We go into the last half of the sixth inning, and score stands the Giants 4 and the Yankees 2. The Giants scoring 3 in the first, 1 in the sixth. The Yanks 1 in the second, and 1 in the third.
Now the first man to bat for the Yankees is Lou Gehrig. Gehrig struck out last time with the bases loaded. Here's Gehrig up. Lou Gehrig out of the plate. First pitch, right around his knees, over the outside corner. All strike on Gehrig. Now Schumacher takes his time out there, getting ready. Outfield and infield is moved around. One pitch to right for Gehrig. Now Schumacher's getting all set again. The score is the Giants 4, the Yankees 2 in the last half of the sixth. It's a bounding ball between first and second. Whitehead has to leap into the air over the first base. He's out. Gehrig hit a high bounding ball. Whitehead back at the edge of the grass, exactly between first and second. That's go up into the air. The ball took a very high bounce, and he threw him out. Whitehead to Terry. Next man to come up is Dickey. Schumacher takes the time out there, getting ready again. Nobody warming up for the Giants. The Yankees are warming up a pitcher. Pitch, low, ball one. One out and nobody on. Last half of the sixth. Here's the next pitch to Bill. Perfect pitch, right around his knees. A called strike, and the count is 1-1. Yankees at bat in the last half of the sixth inning. One gone, nobody on the bases. Gehrig just bounced out to Whitehead. Now Schumacher's all set. There's the windup. Here's the next pitch. He struck at a curveball right in around his knees, and he missed it. The count is 4-1 and strike two. There was a big hook on that one. Pulls his cap down firmly on his head. Gets all set out there again. I think he's been up twice today. Bounced out and flied out. Here's the next pitch. Strike two. Struck him out. It gave him that big hook again around his knees. And Dickey struck out. 2-1. Now the next man to come up is Selkirk. Selkirk has been up twice. He hit a home run and he walked. Schumacher's getting ready out there. Now the wind up in the pitch. Too low, it's a ball one. Nobody on the bases and two gone in the last half of the sixth.
Al Schumacher and Red Ruffing have pitched all the way in this, the fifth game of the World Series.
The next pitch, there's a hit on the ground into center field. Selkirk singles to center. Ripple juggles the ball momentarily, and the batter rounds first base, but pulls up as Ripple gets the ball back in a hurry. Selkirk gets his second hit of the game, a single to center, on the ground all the way. Kind of a hit ball that just hugged the ground all the way out. There were no bounces at all. Here's Powell up. Powell has been up twice. He flied out to center field, and he walked. Batting now with a teammate on first base. 2 gone here in the last half of the sixth. The pitch. There's that curveball again, and he swung hard and missed it. 1 strike. And on first, right-hand hitter up at the plate. Runner on first base. There's a fairly comfortable leadoff. Schumacher's all set. Here's the next pitch to Powell. Hits the roller down the third base line. Jackson comes in fast up with it. Going to be close. He is. Jackson made a wild throw through the ball past Perry. Here's the runner coming in. Selkirk is carrying to the plate. Powell is going to third, and he's safe at third. Jackson made a very bad throw. Threw the ball over Perry's head, over against the railing. The ball rolled into right field. A run has scored, and the score is 4-3 now. And Powell gets all the way around to third. The slow roller down the third baseline. Jackson moves in fast, fires the ball over Terry's head over against the railing. The official scorer credits Powell with a hit, charges Jackson, of course, with an error. Powell gets a hit on it. He's all the way around on third on Jackson's bad throw over Terry's head. Terry leaps into the air and tried to head the ball off. The ball hit the railing in front of the boxes. Rebounded into right field. Now there's 2 outs. Firing runners on third base for the Yankees on Jackson's error. Giants are leading 4-3. Here's the Terry. He walks today and hit into a force play. Last half of the 6th inning. Schumacher's ready. Here's the pitch. There's the roller. Foul to the left of the plate. 1 strike. Giants play it around. Jackson to Bartell to Whitehead to Terry. Well, Jackson hadn't made the wild throw. The worst that could have happened would have been the runner's advancing, because it looked like the runner would have beaten it out for a hit anyway. But Jackson's bad throw allowed the run to score. Threw the ball over Terry's head. Here's the next pitch to Lazeri. It's an inside pass. There's a throw to third. Powell is back safely. The ball almost got away from Jackson. The ditch it out of his hands and rolled over the third baseline, but not far enough to allow Powell to get in. The Giants are leading 4-3 in the last half of the 6th. The man on third base. 2 gone. Tying runners on third for the Yankees now. Schumacher takes his time out there getting ready. The count is ball 1 and strike 1 on Tony Lazeri. Giants talk it up out there. Schumacher's all set. Here's the next pitch. It's a ball a little bit inside at the knee. Ball 2 and strike 1 for Lazeri. Next man due to come up is the pitcher, Ruffing. Schumacher has his glove off, rubbing the ball around in his hands. Powell has a long lead off the third base. Here's the next pitch to Lazeri. A hit to the right field on the ground. The game is tied up at 4-4. Lazeri drives the ground ball between first and second into right field, and the ball game is tied up at 4-4. Tony Lazeri came through with a sharp hit into right field. Millot gets it back in fast. The game is tied up at 4-4. Next man to come up is the pitcher, Ruffing. Here's a pinch hitter coming up for Ruffing. Johnson is going to bat for Ruffing. A pinch hitter, Johnson is going to bat for Ruffing. That shot hit into right field toward the fourth and tying run. Here's the pinch hitter coming out. Johnson batting for Ruffing. Left-handed hitter. Not sure who's going to pitch for the Yankees. Right-handed, maybe Malone. Well, the game is tied up now. Last out of the sixth. Schumacher gets the sign. Here's a left-handed interrupt. Pitch is low and outside. A ball. Ball one. And on first base and 2 runs in. Pitcher takes his time, gets ready out there again. Now he's all set. Johnson takes one right across his knees, a perfect pitch for a called strike. Ball one, strike one. And on first base, Johnson, utility outfielder, is up at the plate. Tony Terry drove in the tying run with his second hit of the series. The pitch. Foul, a young one just behind the catcher. Now it's ball one, strike two. Both these runs scored, and all this action happened after 2 outs. First man rolled out, second man struck out. Selkirk singled to center. Powell beat out an infield hit on which Jackson made a very bad throw, allowing a run to score and Powell to go to third. Lazeri tied it up in no time with a slashing hit into right field. That's the picture now in this 5th game of the World Series. We have a tied-up ball game. 4-4. Johnson is batting now for roughing with a man on first. The pass man, the pitch. Outside, base high, a ball. Makes it 2-2. Schumacher wipes his hands at the front of his uniform. Gets ready out there now. Now he's all set out there. Here comes the next pitch. Strike 3. Struck him out. Schumacher put plenty of dope on that ball and struck Johnson out to retire the side. One man left down the bases. Malone is coming in to pitch. I can see him walking out of the bullpen way out there in left center field. Malone is coming in to pitch. All right, Tony.
Ford V8 economy is traditional. Ford all-around economy. Low first cost, low upkeep cost, low operating cost, and low depreciation give you more miles per dollar when you drive a Ford V8. In the yank half of the 6th inning, they tied up the ball game at 4-all. Gary, the first man up, without Whitehead to Terry. Dickey struck out. Selkirk singled out to center. Powell came up, and he hit to Jackson, tossed wild to Terry at first, and Selkirk scored. Powell racing on down to third. Lazeri followed. He singled out to right, scoring Powell with the tying run. Johnson then batted for roughing, and he struck out. We're going in and out of the giant half of the 7th inning, and the ball game stands 4-4. And back to Bob Elton.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the 5th game of the World Series. The Yankee Stadium in New York City. Malone is now coming in to pitch for the Yankees with the score tied at 4-4. Now we'll pause briefly for station identification. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
WGN Chicago.
Now the game is going into the first half of the 7th inning. The leadoff man, Joe Moore, is coming up. It's anybody's ball game again. Tied up. 4-4. Pat Malone. Stocky right-hander. Big, heavy-set fellow. Number 21 is going to pitch for the Yankees. Pat made one appearance so far in the World Series, coming in as a relief man in the 9th inning. And now he's coming in the 7th inning with the game tied up at 4-4. And from Malone's viewpoint, it's his ball game to win or lose. Now Pat is ready to pitch to Joe Moore. Here it is. It's a ball outside, right above his knees. Ball 1. Joe Moore up at the plate. Nobody on and nobody out. Here's the pitch. Hits the ball. It's outside at the knee. Ball 2. Pat Malone. Heavy-set right-handers on the mound for the Yankees with the score tied at 4-4. Joe McCarthy jerked roughing out for a pinch hitter who struck out. The pitch. Wood drops a high fly into right center field. Selkirk is moving in. DiMaggio's coming over. Selkirk is under it, and he has it for the first out. Lays up Bartell. Bartell
Bartell up at the plate. Right-handed hitter. One gone and nobody on at the seventh. Ball game tied up at 4-4. Now the wind up at the first pitch. There's a hard hit foul down the third baseline. Low liner hit hard down the third baseline. It was foul. Another new ball is tossed out to Malone. Pat walks around out there, taking his time, getting ready. Ross tosses up at third. Ross, Corsetti, Lazeri, and Gehrig in the infield. Powell, DiMaggio, and Selkirk in the outfield. Here's the next pitch to Bartell. Hits a long fly ball back to the left field. Powell is backing up. He's under it. Has it for the second out. Bartell hit a long fly ball back into left field. It was caught by Powell for the second out. Next man to come up is Terry. Been up 3 times for all he hit. Here's Bill Terry up. Now Malone is ready. Here's the pitch to Bill. Fastball outside the knee, a ball 1. Malone takes his time, gets ready out there. He's all set again. Next pitch to Terry. Lowered inside, a ball 2. Terry is out in the 7th inning for the Giants. With 2 out and nobody on the bases, and the score tied at 4-4. Getting all ready out there again. There's the windup. Here's the next pitch. Terry takes ball 3 outside, way high. Throws the ball out to Malone. Pat takes his glove off. Ducks the ball up in his hand. Now he's ready. Here's the windup for the next pitch. It's a strike. Right across his knees. Ball 3 and strike 1. That winds up again. Here's the next pitch. Fastball. He hits it back into the wires. Ball 3 and strike 2 for Terry. 3-2. That still has a pretty good zip on that fast one. Walks around the grass behind the circle. Now he's walking into the middle of the diamond, stepping up onto the rubber. 3-2 count on Terry with nobody on board. 2 gone. Here's the pitch. Terry hits a little roller right back at Malone to the left side of the mound. He picks it up over to first. He's an easy out. Malone to Gehrig, and it retires the side. Now the game is going into the last half of the 7th. All right, Tony?
The Giants come down in order. Matt Malone pitching for the Yanks. As we open the 7th inning, Moore flied out to Selkirk in right center. Bartell flied out to Powell in the left field. And Terry was out, Malone to Gehrig. We're going into the last half of the 7th inning. The ball game tied up at 4-all. The Giants scoring 3 runs in the first and 1 in the 6th. The Yanks scoring 1 in the second, 1 in the third. Then tied up the ball game in the 6th by shoving across 2 runs. 4-all going into the last half of the 7th. Now the ball game, last half of the 7th inning coming up. The outfielders getting set. Moore, Ripple, Mellock. Al Schumacher has pitched a marvelous game today for the Giants. Out there looking over the feet of the catcher. With their tight support, he still have a lead in this ball game.
First man to come up is the leadoff man, Frankie Corsetti, who's played some sparkling ball in the series. The play and all-around play, both in field and at bat, of Frankie Corsetti has been one of the highlights of the series. Here's Frank up. He's been up 3 times today. He's on once. Virtue of an error. This is low and outside a ball. Ball 1. Corsetti struck out twice today. Swinging at Schumacher's slant. Now winds up again. Here's the next pitch. Fastball waist high for a called strike. Count is 1-1. Nobody on and nobody out. It's the last half of the 7th. This game of the World Series is tied up at 4-4. Winding up again. Here's the next pitch. Outside at the knee, a ball. Makes it ball 2 and strike 1 for Corsetti.
Schumacher goes back to Rosenberg. All set out there again. Steps up onto the rubber now. Steady is waiting for the pitch. Wind up. Here it is. Fastball. He swung from his heels that time and missed it. And the count is 2-2. Frankie really went around that time, trying to get that ball arrive, but he missed it. And it's a 2-2 count on Crissetti. Schumacher takes his time, getting ready. He's winding up again. Here's the next pitch to Frank. Strike three. He struck him out. A big hook right in there around his knee. And Crissetti is out on strikes. One gone. Here's the third baseman, Ross. He's been a troublemaker for the Giants all during the series. Red Ross, the Yankee third baseman. Flashy fielder and a good hitter. He's had 2 hits today. First pitch to Ross is right down the middle, knee high for a called strike. Ross has a total of 7 hits in the series. 5 previous to today's game and 2 today. Schumacher's ready again. He's winding up. Here's the next pitch to Ross. It's a strike right down the middle that time with a hook on it. He threw him a fastball the first time. He threw him a curve the second time. And it's 2 strikes on Ross. Schumacher rubs the ball in his hands. Gets ready out there again. There's the windup, and here's the next pitch. He struck him out. This ball, a big hook right around his knee. Ross is out on strikes. 2 gone. Here's Joe DiMaggio. Joe struck out twice today. Bounced out to Jackson the other time. DiMaggio's up at the plate. Batting right-handed with 2 out and nobody on the base. Schumacher's ready to pitch. He hits the liner over the shortstop head. It's a safe hit. Out of the left center field. Left fielder comes up with it back into the infield. He's on his way to second, and he slides, and he's safe at second. It's a 2-bagger for DiMaggio. A liner over the shortstop's head. Bartel leaped into the air to try to head it off, but couldn't. Left fielder Moore picked up the ball off the ground out there in left center field and fired it in, but DiMaggio was in at second base by a comfortable margin, and it's a 2-base hit. Now there's a man out second with Lou Gehrig up. Man on second, and Lou Gehrig comes up now. DiMaggio on second base. Lou Gehrig is up with 2 outs. Schumacher gets ready. Draws his arms up in front of him. They're going to pitch to him. Here it is. First pitch is a little bit too low for a ball to Gehrig. And on second base with 2 gone here in the last half of the 7th. Lou Gehrig is up. Been up 3 times and he's made 1 hit. Here's the next pitch. Strike. Schumacher caught the corner that time. The outside corner at Gehrig's knees, and the count is 4-1 and strike 1. Ball game is tied up at 4-4. Last half of the 7th inning of the 5th game of the World Series. Now Schumacher is ready again. Here's the next pitch. Slow ball outside above the knee. Makes it ball 2 and strike 1. Schumacher pulls his pitching hand up to his mouth. Seemingly is blowing on his hand out there. Now he goes back, touches the rosin bag, puts his hand up to his mouth again. Now he has his glove off and he's rubbing the ball around in his hand. Now there's been many a spot out here today and he showed plenty of heart. Getting all set again. He's ready. Here's the pitch. Fastball. He caught the corner on Gehrig again with a strike, and the count is 2-2. Fastball over the outside corner, knee high. It's 2-2 on Gehrig. Gehrig turned around to talk to the umpire and to register a mild walk. Joe DiMaggio is on second base. The ball game is tied up at 4-4. It's the last half of the 7th. Now Schumacher's getting his time again. Arms up over his head, drops him down. He's ready. Here's the pitch. Outside at the knee, a ball. Matsuko tried to pull that one in a hurry to try to make the pitch look good, but he couldn't fool the umpire, and it's count of ball 3 and strike 2. And now Gus walks out between the plate and the pitcher's mound to talk to Schumacher. Ball 3 and strike 2. Last time up, Gehrig hit a high-bounding ball to Whitehead and was thrown out. The time before that, he struck out with the bases loaded. The first time up, he singled. Got all the way around to third on his single when Ott let the ball go through his legs. Out to 3-2 count on the batter. DiMaggio taking the long lead off of second base. It's the last half of the 7th. Here's the pitch. Inside. Ball 4. He walked him. A wild pitch, very low and inside. The catcher Mancuso stabbed that ball with his bare hand. It would have been a wild pitch. The man on first and the man on second, and brings up Dickey now with 2 gone. There are 2 wonderful catchers in this series. Joe Dickey of the Yankees and Gus Mancuso of the Giants. He gets a walk. 2 men on. Now Schumacher getting the pitch to Bill Dickey. Been up 3 times today. Popped out, flied out, and struck out. Facing Hal Schumacher now in the last half of the 7th. Here's the pitch. A slow curve. Just missed the corner. Ball 1. Ball 1, just outside the knee. Schumacher looks back around the infield again. Takes a look at the scoreboard. DiMaggio's on second. Gehrig is on first. There's 2 gone. In the last half of the 7th inning of this 5th game of the World Series, it's a tense moment here in New York. The pitch, fastball below his waist. Just between his waist and his knees, a fastball over the outside corner, and Bill watched it sail by, and umpire Thurman shoots his right fist up in the air, and it's a called strike. 1-1 on Bill Dickey now. Yankees great center field edging off at second base. Joe DiMaggio. Score is tied at 4-4. Hal Schumacher getting ready again. Here's the pitch. He pitched strike, a big hook that time around his knees, and the count is ball 1 and strike 2. Hal Schumacher pitched a fast one in there that time with a big break on it, right in around Dickey's knees over the outside corner, and the count is ball 1 and strike 2. 2 men on, 2 out, ball 1 and strike 2 on the batter. Now Schumacher gets ready again. Here's the next pitch. It's a high foul. Back behind the plate. Mancuso's coming back. He caught it. Dickey fouled out to Mancuso right here below us, off a little bit to the left. Just was looking right up into the sky, right below us there. We could get a good look at him, and he caught that top foul off the bat of Bill Dickey to retire this side. That's the end of the 7th inning, and I guess, Tony, we're seeing some ball game here today, aren't we?
Certainly are, Bob. Now, if you'd like proof of why the Lincoln Zephyr is tomorrow's car today in performance, appearance, and comfort, ask any Lincoln Zephyr dealer to let you drive one. He'll be glad to. And now in the Yank half of that 7th inning, for Saturday, the first man up struck out, Rolfe struck out, then Joe DiMaggio made his appearance up the plate, and he smacked the double down over short. Lou Gehrig followed, and he was walked. And then Dickey fouled out to Mancuso. The ball game is tied up at 4-all. We're going into the Giant half of the 8th inning. The Giants this afternoon scored 3 runs in the first and 1 in the 6th. The Yankees scoring 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and then tied up the ball game at 4-all in their half of the 6th inning when they shoved across 2 runs. Going into the Giant half of the 8th, and here's Bob Elton.
Thank you, Tony. That was Tony Wakeman of W.L. Washington, my associate on the broadcast. We're going into the first half of the 8th inning. First man to come up for New York, Little Mel Ott. Otto was short hit into left field last time. Well, I want to tell you, if you haven't gathered it for yourself, that this is some ball game. Everybody in the Yankee Stadium is seated on the edge of their chairs. Here's Malone. First pitch is low and outside, a ball to Mel Ott. Malone pitching. Yankees have used 2 pitches today, Ruffing and Malone. Next pitch, fastball low and outside to Mel Ott. Ball 2. Pancho Snyder, the Giant coach at third, leaps into the air, waving his arms around to try to nettle Malone. That pitch last inning and retired the side in order, moved by Cullen Terry. Here's the next pitch. On hits a high fly in the center field. DiMaggio is moving over toward left center. He's under it. Has it for the first out. Mel Ott slides to DiMaggio in left center field. Here's Ripple. Ripple has a hit and a walk today. Ball game is tied up 4-4. First half of the 8th inning. Amaro getting it tied. Wind up on the pitch. It's a ball outside. Ball 1. Yankees talking about
there. Winding up again. Here's the next pitch. Fastball going outside the ball. Makes it 12-2. Center fielder of the Giants, Ripple, is up. Al Schumacher is pitched all the way against Ruffin and Malone. Buddy again, here's the next pitch. Ripple takes a fastball on the outside corner at the knee for a ball strike. Now there's ball 2 and strike 1. Yankees talk it up. Rolf at third. Pacetti at short. Gary at second. Gary gets first. Wind up on the pitch. Fastball low and outside. It's the third ball to Ripple. The count is 3-1. This single the first time, struck out the second time, walked the third time. He's up with 1 gone. Nobody on the bases for the Giants. Giants trying to crack this high score if they can here in the 8th inning. Pat Malone is winding up again. Here's the next pitch. Ball 4 up high inside. Walked it. Here's Burgess Whitehead. Or Mancuso, rather. Up first and then Whitehead. Gus has been up 3 times today. First time he singled to right. Second time he doubled over third. The third time he laid down a sacrifice. He's up now for the 4th time. His teammate on first base. 1 out in the 8th inning. Malone is ready to pitch. It's a high foul down the first base line. Second baseman's going for it. He may get through it. He's over, and he slips. He couldn't get it. Lazeri ran right to the railing with that ball, but couldn't quite reach it. It's dropped between Lazeri and the railing, and he's just about a foot away from it. He made a very nice try for the ball. 1 strike on Mancuso. Lazeri was running full speed over the first base foul line, about 35 or 40 feet back at first, over toward the railing, with his left hand outstretched, but couldn't quite get to it. Now Malone is ready to pitch again to Gus. Going outside, a ball. Ball 1, strike 1. Pat takes a look at the base runner on first base. Center fielder Ripple will walk. The fast man. Next pitch to Pitchjack. Pitchy called for a wide one that time, figuring the Ripple might try to go down. But the Giants have seen enough of this Bill Dickey arm, and they're playing it safe. Ready is the next pitch. There's a ground ball to the shortstop. Pacetti moves in fast. Up with it over to second out. Back over to first base. Out. Double play. Mancuso hit into a fast double play. A roller to Pacetti to punch the ground all the way out. Shot pitch ball, and it was turned into a fast double play. Pacetti to Lazeri to Gehrig, and it retires the side. In the ground off the 8th inning, men off the first, man up, slide out to Joe DiMaggio in left center. Ripple, walk, and Mancuso hit into a double play, retiring the side. Going into the last back of the 8th inning, the ball game still tied up at 4-all. Giants scoring 3 in the first, 1 in the 6th. The Yanks scoring 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and 2 runs in the 6th. Half past the 8th, and here's Bob Ellis. Well, the New York Giants are on the field. Yankees are coming up. First man to bat will be Selkirk. He's got a perfect day at the plate. A home run, a walk, and a single. Giants getting all set. One out in right field. Ripple in center field. One more in left field. Bill Terry at first. Burgess Whitehead second. Big Shot Charles short. Travis Jackson third. Schumacher pitching, and Gus Mancuso catching. The only player on the team out on the field in the sun is the left fielder Moore. Center fielder Ripple is in the shade. Right fielder is in the shade. Been in the shade all afternoon, and the infield is entirely submerged with shade. Sun is just out of the spot in left field. Here's Selkirk up. George has number 3 in the back of his uniform. Black cap, black stockings. Now he's up there facing Schumacher. First pitch. Fastball over the inside corner, knee high for a called strike on Selkirk. The score is tied at 4-4. Here's the windup in the next pitch. There's a high infield fly. Right in front of the plate, a little bit down the first base line. Mancuso's under it and caught it 20 feet down the first base line, 5 feet inside the line. A high pop fly in third territory is caught by Mancuso, retiring Selkirk for the first out. 1 gone. Next man to come up is Jake Powell. He flied out, he walked, and he beat out an infield hit.
That was the hit on which Jackson made the wild throw. Here's Powell up now. Schumacher's ready. Here's the pitch. Fastball. He swung hard that time. The old sinker. And he missed it for a strike. See the drop on that one? Schumacher's ready again. Here's the next pitch to Powell. Same one, and he struck at it again and missed it. 2 strikes. Boy, does he have speed behind that one. Powell says, let's take a look at the ball to the umpire. He throws it in. Seemingly okay, and the umpire, Mr. Furman of the National League, gives it back to the catcher who steps out in front of the plate and throws the ball back to Hal Schumacher. Two strikes on Powell, 1 out and nobody on the bases in the last half of the 8th. Strike 3, struck him out. He threw a curveball at him that time. Right above his knees over the outside corner. Powell swung and missed, striking out. 2 on, here's Lazuri. Tony walked the first time, hit into a force play the second time. The third time, he drove a hit into right field on the ground that scored the tying run of the game. Terry batting, 2 out and nobody on the base. Here's the pitch. Fastball, low inside, a ball to Lazuri. Schumacher takes a couple of kicks out there at the turf around the pitching rubber, looks back at the shortstop, turns around now to face the hitter. Lazuri is up. With 2 out here in the last half of the 8th inning of this 5th game of the World Series. Score tied at 4-4. The pitch. Fastball, he hit the high bounding ball to Bartell, up with it. There goes the ball over the first base. He's out. Bartell to Terry, and it retires the side. At the end of the 8th inning, the ball game tied up at 4-4, and here's Tony Wakeman.
Every day you drive your present car, it decreases in value. Take advantage of the Ford dealers' nationwide used car clearance sale now in progress to get a better used car. Look in your local newspaper for special bargains in R&G used cars. They are renewed and guaranteed. In the yank after the 8th inning, Seltzer, the first man up, slide out to, or rather sent up the high one in front of the plate, was taken by Mancuso. Then Powell struck out. Lazari was out. Bartell to Terry, retiring the side. We're going in now to the giant half of the 9th inning. The ball game is still tied up at 4. Now the Yankees are out there on the field. Big fish Pat Malone is looking over a few of the catchers. First man to bat will be the second baseman, Burgess Whitehead. There he is up at the plate. It's the 9th inning of the 5th game of the World Series. Ball game is tied up at 4-4. Now Malone is ready to pitch to Whitehead. He busts one foul off there to the right, a pop-up. Didn't go high enough into the air to allow anybody to get under it. In fact, he followed it so hard and went right over near the Giants' dugout. There's Pat Freddie Fitzsimmons. Seated down there in the Giants' dugout, simply watching play. Freddie came up with a beautiful 6th ball game in this World Series, but lost it. 2-1. Malone is ready as the next pitch to Whitehead. There's a long fly ball back into right field. The right fielder Seltzer is under it, and he has the ball for the first out. Whitehead hit a long fly to Seltzer for the first out. Brings up Jackson. Jackson up. Here's Jack facing Malone. That's winding up. Here's the pitch. There's a high foul up into the upper tier of the box seat down the first base line. 1 strike on Travis Jackson. 1 out. Nobody on the bases in the first half of the 9th inning. Ball game tied up at 4-4. Schumacher sits all the way against Ruffing and Malone. Here's the wind-up in the next pitch. Jackson bunts one right out in front of the plate. Malone picks it up, gets it over to first base. He's out. Malone to Gary. Jackson bunted and was thrown out on a fast play. Malone to Gary. He bunted to the left of the plate. Almost out to the pitcher's box. Malone moved to his right, picked it up, and threw him out. There's Hal Schumacher getting a small hand, and the lad certainly deserves it. He pitched a wonderful game out here today. No matter who you'd like to see win the World Series, the Yankees or the Giants, couldn't help but feel as this crowd does about Schumacher's pitching performance out here today. First pitch is low, ball 1.
right-hander on the mound. Here's the next pitch. There's a high foul up into the stands, off here to the left. Ball 1 and strike 1 on Schumacher. Score tied at 4-4. Schumacher stands in the batter's box, getting all ready. All set. Here comes the next pitch. Foul hit way down the right field line up in the upper tier. Drops into the lower stand now. Ball 1 and strike 2 for Schumacher. Pat Malone walks around out there, takes his time, getting ready. He pitched the 7th, 8th, and the 9th inning so far, and the Giants haven't made a hit off it. Pat's getting his time again. He's already out there now. Here's the pitch. Strike 3. Struck him out. A fastball right around his knee. Schumacher is called out on strike. Pat Malone threw in a fastball right around his knees, and he struck him out. That's the end of the first half of the match.
Now we'll pause briefly for station identification. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
This is WGN Tribune Square, Chicago.
The Giants went down 1-2-3 in their half of the 9th inning. Whitehead flying out to Selkirk. Jackson was out, Malone to Gehrig, and Schumacher struck out. We're going into the Yankee half of the 9th. The ball game tied up 4-4.
First man to bat now for the Yankees in the 9th inning is Pat Malone. Here he comes out. He's greeted with a mixed chorus of boos and applause. Here's Malone coming up. Here's Malone up. Now Schumacher's ready to pitch to Pat. He's batting left-handed. First pitch he swung at. Big Pat went around that time. Missed it. 1 strike. Now he turns around and kids with the umpire, Thurman. Schumacher's ready again. Here's the next pitch. He tries to hit it to left field. Pat Malone slaps the hit over the third baseman's head into left field. Malone singles to left field. A sharp hit to the third baseman's left. A liner over his head. The man on first base for the Yankees and brings up the shortstop, Frankie Crissetti. Man on first base. Nobody out here in the last half of the 9th inning with the score tied at 4-4. The Yankees win this game. The World Series is over. The Giants win. It stands 3-2. Harry comes over to talk to Hal Schumacher. Crissetti is up. He's been up 4 times today. He reached first once on an error. He struck out 3 times. Now Schumacher's ready to pitch. First pitch is high and outside. A ball 1. Malone singles sharply to left field. It starts the last half of the 9th for the Yankees. Game tied up at 4-4. Schumacher's getting set out there again. Here's the next pitch. He bunts one down the first base line. Perry picks it up, gets it back to second. It's out. Perry to Bartell. Crissetti bunted down the first base line. Perry moved in fast. Picked up the ball 10 feet inside the first base line, midway between first base and the plate, and forced Malone at second base. Perry to Bartell. Crissetti, of course, is safe at first. Here's Rolf. Red Rolf up, the left-handed hitter. Been up 4 times today and has made 2 hits. He beat out a beautiful drag bunt for his second hit today. Fast man on first. There's a throw. Back safely. Frankie Crissetti attempted sacrifice was turned into a forced play, forcing Big Pat Malone at second. Giants could work easily on the play because Malone is a big, slow man. The pitch. Ralph swung right around his knees and missed it. 1 strike. The ninth inning. Yankees batting with a man on first. Game tied up at 4-4. Fifth game of the World Series. Schumacher touches the rosin bag. Steps back onto the pitching rubber again. Gets all set. There's a ground ball between first and second. Whitehead is up with him over to second out. Back over to first. Base. No double play. Whitehead to Bartell to Terry. It's out at second. Ground ball hit sharply between first and second. Whitehead smothered it. Threw it to Bartell. Forcing to study at second base. Bartell fired it back to Terry to try to get his man. A fast man, but Ross is too fast, and they couldn't double him up. So Ross is on first, and the center fielder, Joe DiMaggio, is up. Joe's been up 4 times today. Made 1 hit. He struck out twice. Go to first base, and Myers back on the bag in a hurry. Terry throws the ball back to Schumacher, blowing on his pitching hand out there. The air is kind of cool now and crisp here in the Yankee Stadium. There's a throw to first base. Having the fans put their top coats back on. And on first base, and DiMaggio is up. Last half of the ninth inning, Schumacher bearing down. Here's the pitch. Fastball in a little bit too close. At the waist. Ball 1 on DiMaggio. Mancuso says something to the pitcher and then throws him the ball. Tied up at 4-4. The Yankees led off with a hit. Malone singled, but there's 2 out now and a man on first. Ross is on first base. Schumacher's getting his sign again. Next pitch is low and inside. A ball to Joe. Makes it ball 2. Joe DiMaggio's up. Joe steps out of the batter's box now and drives his hands carefully. Now he's getting up in there again. DiMaggio rolled out the first time up to Jackson. The second time he struck out. The third time he struck out. The fourth time, he lined a 2-bagger over Bartell's head. Schumacher's ready. Here comes the next pitch. He's thrown and foul, tipped the ball. Popped out of Gus Mancuso's hands. He rolls off there to the right. Ball 2 and strike 1 on Joe DiMaggio. Yankees great center fielder. Next moment here in the Yankee Stadium in New York City. Ball game is in the last half of the ninth inning. It's the 5th game of the World Series. With the Yankees needing only 1. Needing this game to win. Giants needing this game and 2 more. Here's the next pitch. DiMaggio takes a fastball in a little bit too close at the knee. It's ball 3, and the count is now 3-1. 3-1 for Joe DiMaggio. Steps out of the batter's box now. Looks over at the dugout. See whether looks down the third baseline for coach. Can't tell whether the fake sign is on or whether it's a sign is to hit the first good one. Well, we'll know right away. Now Schumacher's getting already out there. Runner on first base has a short lead. Pitch is low. He walks in. Low and inside. DiMaggio gets the base on ball. There's Lou Gehrig coming up. Lou Gehrig coming to bat. 2 men on for the Yankees. 2 out. Last half of the ninth inning. Terry is over talking to Schumacher now. There's Bill going back toward first. Well, let's see what Gehrig gets done today. He had to hit the first time, the second time he struck out, the third time he rolled out, and the fourth time he was passed. Here's Gehrig up. Ball game is tied up at 4-4. Red Rolf on second. Joe DiMaggio on first. Schumacher's ready. Here's the pitch. Hits the ground ball. The right hand up with it. Over to first base. He fires the side. Gehrig hit a ground ball between first and second. Whitehead came up with it, threw it over to Terry, and it retired the side. And now Tony, would you
please take it while I get my nerves back in shape.
Okay, Bob, we were all on the edge of our chairs there. Some of the fans there even covered up their heads with their overcoats. They didn't want to look. Ford V8 economy is traditional Ford all-around economy. Low first cost, low upkeep cost, low operating cost, and low depreciation give you more miles per dollar when you drive a Ford V8. And here's what happened in that ninth inning for the Yankees. Malone, the first man up, knocked one out to left. It was good for a single. Cincinnati hit down the first baseline. Terry tossed to Bartell at second, and Malone was fourth at second. Rolfe hit to Whitehead. He tossed over to Bartell at second, and Cincinnati was fourth. Joe DiMaggio walked. Up came Lou Gehrig. He smacked one down to Whitehead, who shoveled up the ball, tossed it over to manager Bill Terry at first for a put out, and retiring the side. And what a ball game it is! It's tied up now at 4-all, and we're going into the Giant half of the 10th inning. This afternoon, the Giants scored 3 runs in the first, 1 run in the sixth, and the Yanks scored 1 in the second, 1 in the third, and 2 runs in the sixth. We're going in now to the Giant half of the 10th inning, and it's tied up at 4-all. Well, all I can hear around here are murmurs of, ooh, what a ball game. This is the swellest game I've ever seen. Mura, he slams a fly ball down the left field line. The left fielder can't get it. It bounces into the stand, and it's a two-base hit, according to the ground rule. A two-bagger. A ball that hits down the playing field and then goes into the stand is automatically a two-base hit, according to baseball rules. A lot of people start howling home run around here, but no, it's a two-base hit. Any ball that hits inside, fair in the playing field, and bounces into the stands is automatically a two-base hit. That rule is very clearly defined, and there's no spot here for dispute. It's a two-base hit by Joe Moore to start the 10th inning. Here's Bartell up. In the excitement here, Tony Wakeman just spilled a cup of coffee on my lap. And it was cold coffee, and it's pretty cold here in the Polo Grounds, or in the stadium. Now there's a man on second base. Here's the pitch to Bartell, a bunt down the third base line. Rolfe is in fast over the first base. He's out. On a fast play, Rolfe to Missouri. Joe Moore is on third now. The next man to come up is the manager, Bill Terry. He led off that time with a two-bagger down the left field line that bounced into the stand. Then the next man up, Bartell sacrifice. So there's a man on third now with Terry coming up. Man on third now in the 10th inning. The Yankee infield is drawn in close. Pat Malone is out there on the mound for the Yankees. Rolfe, Missouri, Cincinnati and Gehrig drawn in. Here's the pitch now to Terry. Hits a foul high up into the stands off there to the left. All eyes are turned up. Watch the course of the ball. Hit upstairs and drop down into the aisleway down below. This game of the World Series is in the 10th inning. The Giants have Joe Moore on third. Joe came through with his second double of the day. Over the third baseman's head way down the line. It bounced into the box seat for a two-bagger. Bartell advancing to third base with a perfect sacrifice. Down the third base line, and hits Ross him up with a fast play. He's got a fast man. So that's the picture now in the 10th inning with a man on third. Here's Terry up. And Terry today has been hitless 4 times up without anything resembling a hit. Travis taking his time getting ready out there.
It's a foul again into the stand. 2 strikes on Terry. Lou Gehrig leans forward over there, taps his glove with his fair hand, shoots his fair fist up into the air, shouting words of encouragement to Pat Malone. Yankee Stadium just seething with excitement here. What has been the greatest game of the series. Tied up at 4-4 with Joe Moore, the left fielder, on third base, and Bill Terry up. Pitches wide, a fastball, makes it ball 1 and strike 2. Pat Malone looks around at his teammates drawn in close. They all talk it up, shout words of encouragement to him. Gehrig, Missouri, Cincinnati, and Rolfe. The outfielder's foul is playing Terry way over near the left field line. DiMaggio's playing him in dead center. Selkirk has moved in a little bit for Terry in right field. There's one gone and a man on third with the game tied up at 4-4 in the 10th inning. Malone is ready to pitch. Terry takes a low one outside for another ball. The count is 2-2. Next man to come up is Mellott, the Giant right fielder. Goff is shouting over there. Cassetti, a regular pepper pot out there in the Yankee infield, keeps up the old chatter. It seems he's been talking incessantly ever since this series started. He's a great player, and he shows plenty of stuff to the fans here in this World Series. Here's the pitch to Terry. Outside, the knee, a ball, makes it 3-2. Wide at the knee, makes it ball 3 and strike 2. The umpire is drawing a line now for the Yankees, showing him where that ball went by. Malone and Dickey claim to cut the corner waist high. Umpire Furman leans over and draws a line with his finger, showing him that it missed the corner by an inch or two. Pat Malone is standing on the home plate here, right below us, talking to him. The 3-2 count on Terry, who says nothing, of course. But listens to the argument with an attentive ear. Well, gee, this has been a thriller. Boy, now the old staccato clapping from the Giant fans. These Giants have put up a fight today. Really put up a battle. Pat Malone is getting ready. Here's the next pitch to Terry. Hits a high fly way out in left center field. Watch the man from third now. DiMaggio catches the ball on the run. Here he's coming in, and he scores. The Giants are leading 5-4. Terry dropped the fly ball into left center field to DiMaggio, who caught the ball on the run from center field, running into left center, and consequently was running toward the third base line when he caught the ball and had to stop, turn around suddenly, and fire the ball into the infield. But to get a fast man like Joe Moore, especially when you're off balance and on the line to throw the ball, is impossible. Moore scores easily, and the Giants are ahead 5-4. Now there's 2 outs. Here's Salata. Pat Malone, all right-hander. Hails from out in Youngstown, Ohio, is on the mound. Heavy-set fellow. Well, the 10th inning of a whale of a ball game here. Here comes the next pitch. Fastball to Little Mel. Low and outside. A ball. Ball 1. Pat Malone takes his time out there again, getting ready. Giants have scored here on a hit, a sacrifice, and a long fly. Hot steps away from the pitches right over the plate. Ball strike. The count is 1-1. Ball 1 and strike 1. That hit of Joe Moore's is the only hit that the Giants have made off of Malone in 4 innings. Tyler's winding up again. Here's the next pitch. Over the plate, he hits a high top fly. Third baseman Ralph is coming down toward the plate. Under it, has the ball 15 feet inside the third base line, exactly midway between the plate and third base, and it retires aside. Giants go into the lead in the first half of the 10th inning by a score of 5-4. And now there'll be a brief pause for station identification. This is the 5th game of the World Series. There's now an extra innings in the first half of the 10th. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
This is WGN Tribune Square, Chicago.
And what excitement we had in that inning. The first man up, Moore, sent one down the left field line and took a hop, bounced into the boxes. Everybody thought it was a home run, but according to ground rules, it was good for a double. Bartell followed, he hunted down the third base line, Ross came in fast, shoved it up, shot it over to Lou Gehrig for the put out, and Moore raced down to third on the play. And up came Terry, flied out to DiMaggio, and Moore scored after the catch, putting the Giants out in front 5-4. Now out the next man up, Foster Ross, retiring side. We're going into the last half of the 10th inning. Score, the Giants 5, the Yankees 4, and turning you back over to Bob Ellis. Thank you, Tony. Here's the last half of the 10th inning coming up now, ladies and gentlemen. First man about is Phil Dickey, the catcher. My nerves are afraid to a frazzle here today.
in his 5th game of the World Series. This game and the Fitzsimmons game have really been tortured. The other games, of course, like the Giants game and the first game, and the other games were all one-sided. Here's the first pitch to Bill Dickey. It's over the plate and hit the ground ball to Perry. Perry knocks it down, picks it up, it's over the first. He's safe at first. He beat it out for a hit. Safe at first. Hit a ground ball to Perry. Well back of the bag. Perry knocked the ball down and couldn't find it. Recovered the ball and got it to the pitcher Schumacher, who covered first base, and it's a hit. The official scorer gives Dickey a hit. Last half of the 10th inning. Bill Dickey drove one down the first base line, a high bounding ball, hit very hard. Perry slapped the ball down to his right a couple of feet. Couldn't find the ball. Looked to his left first. Finally, they hollered at him. He picked it up and threw the ball to Schumacher, who came over fast, but he missed the man, and the official scorer credits Dickey with a hit. Here's Selkirk up. Giants are ahead 5-4. Last half of the 10th. Pitch. He swung all the way around that time, trying to give it a ride, and he missed it. Well, it's plenty dangerous up there. Outfielders moved around to right for him. Schumacher takes his time. He's getting all ready out there again. Here's the next pitch. Hits a high foul right behind the plate. Schumacher is backing up. Here he is looking right up into the sky, and he has it for the first out. He caught the ball to the left of the plate and about 25 feet from the plate. Just to the left, that is right in line with the first base line. Moving about 25 feet to the left of the plate, right in line with first base, about 25 feet away. It's an easy high pop foul for Mancuso, and there's one gone. Down on first base, and Powell is up. Down on first base is a short lead. Al's getting his sign out there. He's all set. Pitch. He swung hard that time, trying to connect with that hook of Schumacher's, and he missed it. Right over the outside corner, knee high, with a very big break on the ball.
Schumacher walks back and touches the rosin bag. Yankees used 2 pitchers today, Ruffing and Malone. Schumacher has pitched all the way for the Giants. Game is in the last half of the 10th inning with Powell up. Next pitch, low outside, a ball. Mancuso cocks his arm, ready to fire the ball to first base, but the runner moves back to the bag in a hurry. Schumacher's getting his sign out there again. Runner on first base is a short leadoff. Powell, the left fielder, is batting. Here's the pitch. Inside, high, close to the batter. Makes it 2 and strike 1 for Jake. Jake has made 1 hit today. Struck out, flied out, and walked. Schumacher walks back, touches the rosin bag. Powell is out of the batter's box. A runner going out for Dickey. Speed. Used to be in the American League with Cleveland, who just recalled from the International League. Speed is running for Dickey. Speed's an outfielder. This is the same Bob Speed who used to be with Cleveland. Out of ball 2 and strike 1. The pitch, he hits a high fly into left field. Left fielder's coming in over near the line. He's under it. Has it for the second out. Powell slide out to Joe Moore. 1 more out now, and this ball game will be over. Here's Lazare coming up. Hit a high short fly at the left field line. Moore moved over fast and in fast. He caught the ball, standing under it. Easy catch for the second out. Giants are leading 5-4 in the last half of the 10th inning. Al Schumacher has withstood the barrage of these Yankee guns here today in the Yankee Stadium. Come up with a marvelous pitching performance. Ruffing also pitched a fine, creditable game. Down on first base, here's the pitch. Right over the plate. Of course, from the Giants' viewpoint, when the Giants pitcher stops the Yankees, he stops more. The way these Yankees have been hitting and slugging that ball, the Giants haven't been hitting. Bob Speed's on first base. Running for Dickey. Schumacher's getting his sign out there again. Lazeri is up. There's two going here in the last half of the 10th. Here comes the next pitch. There's the runner going down to second base. He's out at second base, and the game is over. The pitch was a ball. The runner going down to second base was out. The game is over, and the Giants defeated the Yankees by a score of 5-4. Now I'm going to have Tony listen to the official score on that play. The pitch was outside, knee-high. The batter did not swing. There were two strikes on Lazeri. He did not swing, and I'm sure that it was a ball. The runner going down was out at second base and was thrown from that to the Whitehead, and that out at second base was the out that retired the side and ended the fifth game of the World Series. The put out at second base, Steve's attempting to go down on the pitch, which was outside. It was a ball. It was very close at the knee. He was going down, and he slid into second base and was out. Mancuso to Whitehead retires the side, and the fifth game of the World Series is over. The winning pitcher, of course, is Hal Schumacher, and the losing pitcher, Pierce Pat Malone. What a wonderful game here today. This is Bob Upton, who's had the pleasure of describing the play-by-play for you. I do hope that you all enjoyed our story of the game. Now here's my associate, Tony Wakeman of Station WOL in Washington, and I think Tony will agree with me that we've seen some battle here today.
Well, Bob, we certainly have. It was a grand ball game. The Giants started out by scoring 3 runs in the first inning. The Yankees came back, scored 1 in the second and 1 in the third. Then the Giants got out in front by a 4-2 count in the sixth inning, and the Yankees tied up the ball game in their half of the sixth by shoving across 2 runs. And it was nip and tuck going into the 10th inning. The Giants put across 1 run, and of course the Yankees failed to score in their half of the 10th inning, and the ball game ended up the New York Giants 5 runs, 8 hits and 3 errors. The Yankees 4 runs, 10 hits and 1 error. I'll repeat that for you. The Giants 5 runs, 8 hits and 3 errors. The Yankees 4 runs, 10 hits and 1 error. And another World Series game goes into the record book. The Ford Motor Company and the Ford and Lincoln Zephyr dealers of America have brought you these play-by-play descriptions of the 1936 World Series game. The play-by-play announcer this afternoon, Bob Elton of WGN Chicago, and the color was given by mutual ace commentator Gabriel Heater of WOR News. Tomorrow afternoon at 1:15, the Ford and Lincoln Zephyr dealers of America will broadcast the 6th game of the 1936 World Series. We hope that you'll be with us then. And in the meantime, watch the boards go by. Tony Wakeman speaking. This is the Mutual Broadcasting System.
This is WGN Tribune Square, Chicago.